Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
And with us here, we've got Son X helping with the comments. So what's up, Son X? How are you today?
It's X time. Let's get it. Doing well. How about yourself?
Wow.
Not bad, not bad. Wow, the audio sounds so great from Sun X's studio. Audio sounds so fantastic.
X is a
What can I
tribute
say?
to-
We all can't be great like me. It's all right. You're just fighting for second place, dude.
I have a question for you, X. I understand that you had a few libations today, the day before St. Patrick's Day. Is that correct?
Yep, in preparation for tomorrow. That's right. Pre-gaming.
Oh, tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day, huh?
Yes, it is.
Way to stay hot one time. Yep, it is.
And
Tomorrow's
usually when that happens, Sun X can get a little boisterous and a little snarky.
That's right. TJ better watch out.
That's it. That's it. But if you're new to the channel and you're new to the podcast, welcome. We welcome you with open arms. This is it's no longer twice a week, but this is a once a week All Islanders podcast that takes place every single Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, there's a few things that I encourage you to do. I encourage you to subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. And I also encourage you, if you like the content, to like the video, right? Because if you like the video, number one, it lets us know that you like the content that we produce and you like the show that we're producing. And also, apparently, it helps the algorithm. It helps get this podcast out to the masses, out to the Islander fans, out to the public Islanders. I guess all the Islander fans that are out there. Also, we do have a Facebook and Twitter page as well, that if you like updates in those areas, you can also get them on Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead, Grumpy.
Also, something I request is that you just lose the ability to tell time, because 8 o'clock, it never starts at. The only time the show ever started at 8 o'clock is when Sun X and I were doing it.
Oh, please stop. Please.
Again, some of us are fighting for second place. It's all right.
Some of us are fighting for good audio. What can I say?
I use the audio that I'm provided. What can I say?
Uh-oh.
Look at all that. He's got enough to light his little room up there and his fancy little lights and his little jerseys, but he can't get a microphone worth $10. I send him one, but he doesn't bother hooking it up. Anyway.
He sends me garbage.
Anyway. Oh, please. Anyway. We do have a secondary podcast that occurs on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It is a once-a-week all-sports podcast where myself, the Grumpy Old Man, and Sun X, anything and everything sports. We talk NFL, we talk NHL, right? So we also talk NHL on that show. We talk NBA, we talk MLB, we talk world football. We talk college athletics, March Madness around the corner. We talk anything and everything sports on that show. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. You could find it in the link in the description below or as a featured page here on our YouTube channel where it says TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. So make sure to give that little check out there if you like just talking all things sports. We are coming to you guys live this Saturday. I guess since the last time we've had a podcast, the Islanders have lost all 3 games. Shut out by the Kings. Shut out then. Precedingly, we were shut out there by the Buffalo Sabres and lost today in overtime. Was it 3-2 or 4-3? Whatever the score was.
4-3.
4-3 to the Ottawa Senators. 3 losses in a row for the Islanders after their streak of 6 or 7 wins, whatever it was. And it's so, I guess it's almost just so just. As soon as everybody's like, hey man, we've arrived, we're streaking, we're fantastic, we said big test is against the Kings, right? Sure enough, we get shut out by them, shut out by the Sabres, and then we lose. And we're lucky and very fortunate to get a loser point today against the Ottawa Senators. Thoroughly outplayed on home ice against the Ottawa Senators. Some teams over those 3 games that definitely we should have won and gotten the full 2 points at, and we just didn't.
Yeah, for me, I felt that on that 5-game stretch, okay, the Kings are pretty good. They're fighting for a playoff spot. I thought we had to get 8 points out of 10. And we wound up getting 5, which was disappointing, and just shut out by Buffalo. And then, like I said, not a great game against Ottawa today, a home game, 12:30 in the afternoon. Another third period lead blown. And we got a little bit lucky with Mike Riley holding the stick in the last couple of minutes. And it wound up, they called the penalty on the Ottawa player. I mean, I was kind of astounded myself. I said, I cannot believe they're going to call a stick holding penalty on Mike Riley. They didn't.
Yeah, Matthew Joseph was the guy who went ahead and got the whatever penalty they called, hooking, interference, holding. Yes, that was who committed the infraction.
Yeah, it's just like, yikes. And we scored a 6-on-4 goal. And then Bo Horvat loses his mind after obviously holding an Ottawa guy in overtime. And they scored on the power play. So
did you like really quickly how he just slamming? He's so pissed off, Grumpy, where he starts slamming and breaking his stick. And I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, I definitely thought we were gifted a call in the last 2 minutes. And I'll tell you this, as soon as we pulled the goalie, I'm like, oh, great, another 6-on-4. We absolutely will score. Remember 2 weeks ago, maybe it was 3 Saturdays ago now, we were playing against Tampa, and we scored 2 different 6-on-4 goals when they had taken 2 penalties in the last 4 minutes of play. I knew against Ottawa, their announcers come on from TSN, and they say, Ottawa has not allowed a 6-on-4 goal all season long. Sure enough, that is always going to be an indicator that they will allow a 6-on-4 goal that period.
They were really passive on that penalty kill. And here's the thing. They were a crappy team. Ottawa's not a good team. They have some good young talent on there, but they're not I don't think they're a great team. So, I mean, that's a game we should have won. Home game against Ottawa, that's a game that's like must win. Buffalo, you figure, must win. And those are 2 losses that, right now we're out of the playoff picture. We do have a game in hand on Detroit. We're a point back. But Detroit won for the first time, and they'd lost 7 in a row, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, just you can't, this is, you got to be playing your best hockey come the end of the season. Now we, and the reason why I said we had to come up with 8 or 10 points is because now the difficult stretch comes for us. The rest of the games, we have a couple of gimme games, but really for the most part, we're playing playoff type teams. Like I said, I wasn't upset that we lost to the Kings. The Kings are good. I mean, they know how to play defense. They're a solid team. I was surprised that we got shut out by Buffalo.
I wasn't. Do you remember we talked about on last show how that Saturday game or that Friday evening game, Buffalo wound up coming back to win in overtime, and they were celebrating like it meant something extremely, extremely important to them. I told you, Buffalo was not a team that was giving up on the season. They were not mailing it in. That's a team that was playing some of their hard hockey or hardest hockey they've played all season long. I was not shocked we lost to Buffalo. I was shocked we were shut out 2 games in a row. It's here's the thing. We have the worst penalty killing unit in the NHL. Not even close. Even if you squeak into the postseason at the 8th seed, what is a team who has the worst PK unit in the NHL, not just out of the playoff teams, in the entire NHL? What is a team over an 82-game stretch who will have the worst penalty killing unit in the NHL? Worse than San Jose, worse than Columbus, worse than Chicago, the worst penalty killing unit in the NHL. What do you expect a team like that to do in the postseason? I'm going to tell you absolutely nothing. This team has no chance to do anything. What was that, X?
I said not kill penalties. That's what I would expect them to do.
Oh, okay. I mean, here's the thing. I think there's a couple of scenarios for us to get in. Maybe Philadelphia falls apart. I don't know. Detroit collapses. I don't know. I don't think Tampa's going to fall apart. I think Tampa's going to get
pretty much guaranteed a spot is the way I look at that.
I mean, is Washington going to overtake us? I don't think so. I don't think much of Washington. So it's, who's going to come in 8th, who's going to come in 9th, or who could come in 3rd in the Atlantic. I'm just disappointed. I mean, tomorrow the Rangers, then Carolina after that. And I think we play Detroit. Now, here's the thing. Buffalo didn't do us any favors today, beating Detroit 4-1. I mean, they lost to Detroit 4-1 today. And I was like, okay, Detroit's really been scuffling, and they come in and they, handle Buffalo. That's surprising to me. Maybe they've gone through their tough time and now they're going to right the ship. We play them in next week or the week after.
Thursday. We play them on Thursday. Yep. So you're right. We play the Rangers tomorrow. And then we play Carolina on Tuesday. So, but every team, I believe, and Carolina is going to be playing 3 games in 4 nights. We'll be playing 3 games in 4 nights. A lot of teams are playing, and in Detroit, I don't know if it's a scheduling thing. I think the majority of the teams in the NHL are playing 3 games in 4 nights, and then we play Thursday. And we talked about how our schedule probably benefited us more than the Flyers, right? Because you look at the teams that are surrounding us. I don't think the Devils have a chance. The Penguins don't have a chance. Now, the Washington Capitals play tonight. They're 2 points behind us only, and they've got a game in hand.
I don't think much of them.
I don't either. But think about that. We don't think much of them, but they're have a game in hand and are 2 points behind us. Right? They win tonight. They're ahead of us in the standings because they have plenty more wins in regulation than we do.
Yeah, they're playing Vancouver tonight. They're in Vancouver. So
Okay.
I don't expect them to win.
I couldn't tell you what's going to happen in that game. I will say this, though. It's right. Like we talk about the teams that have a potential to make it. I'm not ruling the Washington Capitals out. I don't think it's likely that they make the postseason, but if they win tonight, they're ahead of us technically in the standings. I don't think I'll put this up on screen so everybody can see it here for visual. Yep, Devils are done. They're done and dusted. We play them. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. The Penguins, ever since trading away Gensel, are 2-7-1. Ever since they gave up, the team's just gone to the shitter. They're going to have to blow everything up and start from just the first block. They're done is right. Washington, again, as I mentioned, right? 5-4-1. Not terribly different than our record currently over the last 10 games. 1 game in hand over us, 2 points behind us. I don't think much of their team. Now, the Flyers are ahead of us, right? We're going to have after tonight 2 games in hand over the Flyers. They're playing right now. It's a 2-2 tie against Boston. They are 3 points ahead of us. The important thing that I was telling that was the difference between the Flyers and us, the Flyers had the hard portion of their schedule now, and the last 10 games were easy breezy, where they're playing non-playoff caliber teams. The Islanders had their easy portion of the schedule now, and we're blowing games to teams that are not going to make the postseason, like the Buffalo Sabres, like the Ottawa Senators. You can't afford to be doing shit like that to be a playoff team. Well, we beat Anaheim, didn't we?
Anaheim, San Jose. Yeah, those are the teams. Yeah, but that was the easy portion. That, like I said, that 5-game stretch, I thought we had to come away with 8 points. I could say, okay, we'll lose to the Kings. The Kings are a good team. Maybe a West Coast game. Maybe you lose that. Could not lose to Ottawa and Buffalo, though. And Buffalo, again, what does Buffalo do well? They forecheck aggressively. They're a young, fast-skating team who forechecks aggressively. Gives us problems.
Yep.
I mean, it
and
just
sure enough, it did. It did give us problems. You know what I mean? That's about the only way I can put it. It gave us problems tonight, and it always gives us problems. I see a lot of people are complaining today specifically about the effort. Oh, it didn't look like the effort was out there. Why didn't we see the effort from the Islanders group out there?
Maybe because it's an afternoon game.
Well, not because it's an afternoon game. It's funny. A guy, people we've had on the show, old guests we've had on the show, they occasionally tweet out, and it's funny to see people bringing up the same points that we brought up, and sometimes they fought us on these points on the show, but you'd be shocked. Andy Francis, he put out there, and we like Andy, right? Besides the little tweet that he put out trying to malign us and trying to put our podcast in like a 30-second viral clip, whatever, that aside, right? Like Andy didn't like what he did there. No problem, though. I did like how he says this, right? These Islanders are guys who just can't get it up for the wife anymore. They play hard, pun intended, a maximum 10 games per season for 3 straight years now. And it just happens to be, right, that 10-game stretch always happens, or most times happens, to align with the NHL trade deadline. Don't trade any of our friends and buddies away from the cul-de-sac. We're going to play really hard and rev it up. Don't give up on us yet, Lou. And as soon as that trade deadline passes, well, just goes back to the normal relaxing atmosphere that is the Islanders.
I just look at it as every game is a playoff game. Every single game the rest of the way is a playoff game. Losing to Buffalo, and he's saying Buffalo has been playing well.
Yes.
Okay. Buffalo's been playing well. Can't get shut out 2 games in a row. Can't win any games when you get shut out. Ottawa. How do you lose to Ottawa at home? Every game is must win for the Islanders. You're on the outside looking into the playoff race. It's going to be tight. You cannot come out and lose to Ottawa. You had to lead the third period. You had to lead. The penalty kill. It's just
Ottawa's so great, Grumpy. They're at the bottom of the Atlantic.
Yeah, I mean, except for Columbus, they're the worst team in the conference.
They're the second worst team in the conference. Think about that.
Yeah, and we came out and
laid an egg.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You're seeing now Tampa, the one savior. Thank God for the loser point for us. If we didn't have the loser points, we're not even close to sniffing the playoffs.
Right? In Boston, they're another team, right, who I think is an absolute paper tiger. They have zero shot of doing anything in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They're not going to do anything. 15 loser points for them. They lose a lot of games too, right? Their record is masked with the fact that they've got 15 overtime/shootout losses. Where our record is also masked with the fact that we have 15 overtime/shootout losses. Same thing. Those teams don't make it. Yeah, Grumpy.
Yeah, it's funny. Elliot Friedman came out, and just to show you the difference in the organizations, right? Elliot Friedman came out and says, wow, Boston, there's going to be big changes in Boston this summer. That's what, because guess what? They're not good enough, and they know it. And look at their record. I mean,
second best team in the conference.
Second best team in the conference, and they're saying, you know what? This team is not good enough. We're going to have to make drastic changes this summer. This is Elliot Friedman saying this, not me, right? And the Islanders, a team that's scuffling around at the bottom, maybe qualifying for playoffs, and we're just keeping everybody. We are the same team as Boston, very, very similar. The way we play is very similar, everything. And we think that our team, except we're older than Boston. And we think that we're good, or our general manager thinks that we're good enough to contend for a Stanley Cup. I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
The item too I want to mention, right, when we talk about the playoff race, to kind of make sure I tie up the bow on that one. The Lightning are winning right now. I think they're going to win the game against Florida Panthers.
They are. They're up 5-3.
Okay, they're up 5-3. So the Lightning will play.
Big fight, by the way.
Big fight. Okay, gotcha. The Islanders will have played, or I'm sorry, the Tampa Bay Lightning will have played 67 games. One more game. We'll have one game in hand over them. We will be 5 points behind the Lightning. At this point of time in the season, I do not anticipate that we're catching Tampa Bay is correct. Tampa Bay is pretty much a lock, in my opinion, just because of prior performances they've had, the playoff experience they've had, and they know what it takes to get into the postseason, even when things aren't pretty, and they know what it takes to win big-time series. I'm putting Tampa Bay as a lock right now to make the postseason. The only way the Islanders can make the postseason, right, is if the wheels absolutely fall off for the Philadelphia Flyers, right? So if you're pulling for the Islanders, we're pulling for the Islanders to make the postseason. You got to hope for a few things. You got to hope that the Philadelphia Flyers collapse. I think that is a possibility, and that's one way that we could go ahead and make the postseason. Or you have to hope that the Red Wings continue to play awful, awful, awful hockey, like their 7-game losing streak in a row.
Yeah, I look at it this way. I mean, there's 2 games on our schedule that are absolute must-win in regulation games. Detroit and Philadelphia. If we don't win those 2 games, we are not making the playoffs.
Well, let me take it one step further. If Detroit picks up the play, right, and a team like, let me ask you this. Do you start to hit the panic button? Let's say the Flyers win tonight and Detroit starts picking up their play. We have historically, I know this year has been different. We played Carolina very hard. I think we've won 2 or 3 of the times we've played Carolina this year. Twice. We beat them the 2 times we played them. Historically, we've not been good over the last 4 or 5 years. And Pyotr Korchekov has been playing well in net. I'm not sure if that carries over to our game, but we're going to have Sorokin in net. We're going to be playing the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow. I'm sorry, the Rangers. Now, we always get up to play the Rangers. We played the Rangers 3 times in our last 18-plus games. Man, I hope that they don't, at the tail end of the season, say, yeah, we really want to stick it to the Islanders. Play them hard and make sure they don't make it to the postseason. That's what I
They're
told
just going to put Rempe in there, and he's going to beat the hell out of all of our players.
Hasn't Rempe been suspended for like 10 games?
5
He'll be
games
back.
was 5.
He'll
He'll maybe miss the first time we play the Islanders. Oh no, who will Matt Martin fight? He'll be back for the last 2 times we play him.
I think you mean who will get their ass kicked to Rempe.
Yeah, here's the thing. Matt Martin, he scored today. Matty Mart scored.
I saw that goal. Yeah.
Reading the comments online about how much nostalgia people are feeling. This may be the last goal we ever see from Matt Martin. This is so sad. Oh, I'm getting
You're
all
like,
emotional.
thank God.
I'm getting all emotional thinking that his time is almost done with the Islanders. I'm sorry. I don't get attached to players like that. They're professionals. This business and industry, you shouldn't, unless you're a child, you should never be getting attached to any of these players, because you understand the true reality of it is, if they don't benefit the team, they should be shipped off. Or if you find another piece that could benefit your team more, they're going to have the possibility of being shipped off. You shouldn't get attached to players unless you're a kid. I was just like, ugh. It was weird seeing a lot of grown adults talking like that on social media. I was like, oof. I was just kind of like, that's enough time I don't need to scroll on Twitter anymore today.
Yeah, like I said, he's finished. I don't care.
I would say it would be different if it was like a big name player like Ovechkin or Crosby being like, oh, wow, this might be the last goal that I see one of them score for my team, who've, played for the same team their entire career. But somebody like Matt Martin, I'm sorry. Like,
I'd have like a level of respect, like a tip of the cap, where it's just like, I'm very thankful for what you've done. I wouldn't get for me to get emotional, you would have to be an absolute icon of the sport, where it's like a guy like you, probably will never see wearing my team's jersey ever again in my life. That's what I'd have to feel like in order to get emotional about a guy leaving, not a fourth line grinder who pummels people and plays 9 minutes a night. I'm sorry.
Yeah. For me, you know what? Hey, tip of the hat. Thanks for your service. Let's move on. I don't care that he scored a goal. It means nothing. He shouldn't even be in the lineup, honestly.
He shouldn't at this point.
He should not be in the lineup.
I
mean, I'm just looking at the next couple of games for the Islanders.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about here next. Okay. I'll bring those up here because we'll bring that up, and then we'll look at the opposing team schedules.
Yes.
Just give you real quick score updates around the league. Hurricanes are down 3-2 over Toronto. Okay, so gotcha. What do we play, an afternoon game or an evening game tomorrow?
Afternoon.
Oh, tomorrow afternoon. Okay. So gotcha. We're gonna be and the Rangers have had the equal amount of rest. They pummeled Pittsburgh today. Rangers won 7-4 over Pittsburgh. Hurricanes, right? Why are we talking about the Hurricanes? Well, if the Hurricanes keep things close in the title to win the division, that means that, unfortunately, it means the Rangers have something to play for at the tail end of the season. What you hope for is that the Hurricanes lose a couple of games now, so at the tail end of the year, the Rangers look to maybe start easing things off, resting players, getting them ready for the postseason. It's not like they're concerned about the seeding. So you're rooting right now for the Carolina Hurricanes to lose games. They're down 3-2 to the Maple Leafs. It's 2-2 again. Update for the Flyers and the Bruins. Wow. You've got Columbus that's up 3-1 over the Sharks. Tonight, we have the Washington Capitals playing over the Canucks, and the Lightning did finish off and win that game against the Florida Panthers 5-3 here today. But I'll go ahead and flip up here what our schedule looks like upcoming, Grump. But I
just wonder what the comparison is between those other two teams, because I think Tampa's going to make it.
Yes.
So it's like Detroit, Philadelphia, and the Islanders. I really think two of those three teams is going to get it. Who's going to be the team without the chair when the music stops?
Don't exclude the Washington Capitals. I don't think it's likely, but I think they're the outside looking in. But realistically, there's 4 teams that I could see making it in. Okay. That I think have a chance. Washington Capitals.
Does it matter? I mean, does it matter that Tampa makes the playoffs? I don't think so. I don't think Tampa's good enough.
Probably not. Yeah.
I mean,
now Tampa's the one team out of that mix where I could say, if they make X.
Bless you.
X hit you when you're coughing. X.
Heaven forbid X breathes on the show. Damn. End of the world.
You could try to mute yourself
instead of coughing.
It was like a random cough. It just popped up. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Hit the mute button.
Hit mute button next time. Anyway, look at him taking it to the next degree. But Tampa is the one team out of that mix just because of the prior playoff performance they've had with the guys they have on that team. Or I could say maybe they could maybe win a round. They could surprise a team, maybe. But like let's say Boston somehow were to overtake Florida for that top spot. And I don't know. I feel like they can maybe surprise a team, but there's no shot in hell I put the Red Wings, Islanders, or Washington Capitals have a chance to win a single postseason series.
I'm just writing off Washington. I don't even consider them a threat to make the playoffs. I know they're 2 points behind. All right, technically, yes, they're still in the mix, but I would say they have the farthest odds of making the playoffs. To me, 2 of the 3 of Detroit, Philadelphia, and I never thought I'd say Philadelphia this year, or the Islanders are going to make the playoffs.
So we'll put that up here. Here's the schedule, right? We talked about Grumpy and I talked about, hey, over the 5-game stretch here, the Sharks, the Ducks. Think about this. The Sharks, the Ducks, the Kings, the Sabres, and the Senators. There's only one team out of those 5 teams that are not like bottom 5 in the NHL.
And
all of those teams are atrocious for the most part.
Buffalo's not in the bottom 5.
Were they bottom 10?
Maybe. They're not bottom 5 though.
Maybe bottom 10. Okay.
And Ottawa's definitely bottom 5. As
Same
are
thing with San Jose and the Anaheim Ducks. So you got 3 bottom 5 teams, maybe 1 bottom 10 team, and you had 1 team that's fighting for a playoff spot who I think will make the playoffs is the Kings. And we came away with 6 points over those 5 games.
I think what I said last week is I expected the Islanders to be in a playoff spot come today. I expected that. I said that's almost like a must because we have the most difficult part of the rest of the season. That was the easy stretch for the rest of the season. That was it. It's over now. It's over. I thought we'd be in a playoff position today. I really thought we would. I was wrong. It's still close. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. But I just thought with an extra 3 points, we would have been in a playoff spot. I just thought we had to come over with 8 out of those 10 points. We didn't.
Trust me, it's not like the teams around us haven't been trying to help us out.
Yes.
Detroit has been they went on a 7-game losing. Think about this. Detroit was on a 7-game losing streak, and we still are not in the playoffs at this moment. Again, we do have a game in hand over Detroit, I believe. But you lose that team loses 7 games and you don't have the ability to leapfrog over them. It's like, oof, they're not going to go and say, hey, out of the last 20 games of the season, we only managed to win 4 and we lost 16 of our last 20 games. Not likely.
Must defeat Detroit this week.
That is a must win. Every single game is a playoff game, as you mentioned. Every game is a must win at this point.
But you really can't lose to the teams that are ahead of you in the schedule who you're fighting with.
Yep.
And that's Detroit and Philadelphia. You must win those games. You can, and you have to win them clean. And what I mean by clean is in regulation.
We don't play Philly anymore. We've already lost to them enough times this season, I guess. We're done. We don't play Philly anymore. Oh, no, I'm sorry. April 1st. April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
Oh, God.
In Philadelphia.
So we talked about the easy portion of the schedule. We drop games. We get shut out. Today, I don't know what your thoughts, because we'll talk about today's game here in a second, right? We'll talk about these games in a second. It's just been, I guess we're just talking big picture items because that's what's the most important at this point. But we're going to talk about the play we saw over these last 3 games too. But look at the schedule upcoming. The Rangers tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it doesn't matter where that game's being played. It's going to be an away game for us. There's going to always be more Ranger fans than Islander fans in the stands. Doesn't matter if it's at UBM. Then on Tuesday, we play the Hurricanes. Thursday, the Red Wings. Saturday, the Winnipeg Jets. 4 very tough opponents.
And you look at the Rangers. Rangers have to win. They want to keep the number 1 spot in division.
Yes.
And they're still competing for conference. So they're still playing for something. Hurricanes, absolutely playing for something. They're trying. They don't want to be the number 2 seed. They want to be the top seed. So you play some flunky team at the bottom of the standings. Who would you? Wouldn't you rather play Philadelphia or Detroit if you have the options, or would you want to play the Islanders? I don't think they'd want to play the Islanders. Islanders play tough style. Here's the thing: the Hurricanes have been playing better. They've made some acquisitions at the deadline. I don't know if they're going to beat Toronto today, but I expect the Hurricanes to beat us on Tuesday night. I just do.
Yes.
Big game against the Red Wings. And then you got the Jets. What are the Jets? The Jets are playing. They're still in contention for best team in a conference in the West. They have something to play for. And again, now that's an afternoon game. That's going to be a tough one for Winnipeg, right? Going to the East Coast, playing a 1:00 in the afternoon game on a Saturday. I don't know if they play the night before, but that's a problem. That's a problem for Winnipeg. Yeah. But still, that's a game. That's a game the Islanders cannot. All right, they can't afford to lose that one. They can't lose to the Red Wings. That's just a must.
Winnipeg is in a 3-way tie with the Avalanche and the Dallas Stars with 89 points for the top of the Central Division.
They have something to play for.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the difference between home ice advantage or no home ice advantage, not having home ice advantage in the postseason. Absolutely. They've got a lot to play for. Winnipeg's schedule. Okay, so they play the Devils on Thursday. They've got Friday off, and then they play us on Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. So there's no issues with rest or anything like that for either team.
And then you look at it, right? Sunday, we play the Devils. The Devils are bad. Devils have had a real letdown, a sophomore slump, as they call it. They've been poor. It's the nicest way I can put it. Their goaltending has been hideous. They don't deserve to make the postseason. This may be, we talked about it going into the year. What are we going to see from Schmid? What are we going to see from the goaltenders there for the Devils? And that was the biggest issue they possibly could have had. They didn't address it. And guess what? When your team doesn't address your needs in the offseason, you pay, you got to pay the piper during the year. It's just that simple. We play the Devils. I expect that to be a win on next Sunday. Then we play the Panthers, the Lightning, and the Flyers, right? I mean, shit, those are a lot of really, really tough games.
What are the Devils? The Devils are going to try to be spoilers at the end, right?
Yep.
I mean, and again, the Devils are the type of team that gives us problems. Young teams, really fast, aggressive on the forecheck. And then you see, Panthers, they're playing for top seed. Lightning are just playing to make sure they get in the playoffs. That's a Florida trip. So, I mean, and then the Flyers, another road game. The Flyers are coming out to play. I don't know where the hell we play. Wells Fargo Arena used to be the Spectrum. And Detroit is also a road game for us. We're not really good on the road.
Yeah.
The next 2 weeks, I mean, honestly, if you look at that, we could easily go 1-7 in those 4 games.
Well, I just think you're going to know where this team sits, right? It's probably going to be a nail biter to the end. We're not going to do anything to separate ourselves. We're not going to do anything to lose, position. It's going to be a nail biter to the end. I think it's going to come down to, right, do we have more points than the other teams ahead of us? Simple as that, because we don't win in any tiebreaker scenario because we have no regulation wins this year. We can't win a regulation game. We always have to win an overtime or shootout. Just don't do that. The other item I want to mention, right, you look down the schedule, then you get the Blackhawks, then you get the Blue Jackets. Those are two say teams that are, I was about to say 2 bottom 5 teams in the NHL. Got to clean up on them. Then the Predators, who have been red hot these last few months. The Rangers, the Canadians, who aren't great, the Rangers, and then 2 potential spoiler games against the Devils and the Penguins down the stretch. Right, these next 8 games, you're facing, right, playoff caliber team in the Rangers, playoff caliber team in the Hurricanes, potential playoff caliber team in the Red Wings, playoff caliber team in the Jets, not a playoff caliber team in the Devils, playoff caliber team in the Panthers, playoff caliber team in the Lightnings, playoff caliber team in the Flyers. 7 of the next 8 games are all against playoff caliber teams, ladies and gentlemen.
I just wonder what you think, how many of that 8-game stretch, how many points do we have to get out of that?
I'm going to say at least 10 or 12.
God,
10 may not be enough. Think about that. 10 points may not be enough out of that 8-game stretch. We have to come out with more points than not.
I mean, realistically, how many points you think we're going to get out of that? I think we'd be lucky to get 8.
I don't know. This Islanders team, they come and play hard some games, and other games they don't. Right? We were talking about this last week. Two Saturdays ago, right? We came out and we shit an egg against the Tampa Bay Lightning on home ice. Last Saturday's podcast, everything's so great. 6 or 7 game winning streak. Oh, this is fantastic. Now we're back on a 3-game losing streak, not playing inspired hockey. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. I don't know how many points we're going to get. I think, though, they probably, to sit comfortably, would want to say over an 8-game stretch, 10, or maybe, if they can get 12.
I think we'll be lucky to get 8 points out of those 8 games.
Wow.
Look at it. I said we need to get 8 out of 10. We got 5 possible points. No, was it 5? Yeah, 5 possible points out of 10. It's like we have to have, or was it 5? Right, 5, right? Did we get 5? How many points do we get of the last 5? 5 points out of 5 games. I'm sorry. I'm counting twos. We got 5 out of 10 possible points. So we got 5 points out of 5 games. If we can get 8 points out of 8 games, you're just kind of scuffling, right? But that's what this team has been all year. If you look at, how many points we're supposed to get, that's pretty much where you are, 1.1, 1.2 points a game, whatever it is.
Thank you, Drew, for pointing that out. I didn't know you can shit an egg. I only thought you could lay them. Yes, thank you. I always mess up the sayings, but that will never change, no matter how long we do the show for.
Not shocked.
Yes, Islanders had to pick up the play. It was very odd, though, seeing how quick the shifts are for the fan base. That I do enjoy seeing, where it's like the same people you see 2 weeks ago saying things are great, get on board, this team's fantastic, to where they're like, oh man, I don't know if I should go to the game. Should we go to the zoo or go to the game here and buy a ticket? It's just weird to see like the flip-floppy nature of the fandom. That's what I enjoy seeing. Is kind of, it aggravates me, but I enjoy it at the same time. I kind of laugh along the way.
I understand.
Yeah. The important thing I'll mention here too, about our upcoming stretch, man, if you don't make the postseason this year, what's the next route forward?
Can't do anything in the offseason. This is the same team you're seeing now, the same team you're going to see next year. It's not going to be any different. No difference. None. This will be the exact same. Okay, I won't say that. Clutterbuck will probably be gone, and Martin will be gone. Other than that, there will be no changes to this team. None. Absolutely none. That's the problem with the Islanders. Everyone's on no trade clauses, no move clauses. We have no money. We don't show a propensity to trade anybody who has any value to the team. And the GM just believes in what the team is. I don't know what to tell you. Get ready for more failure. Do you think we're going to be better as a team next year with, the vast majority of the guys in their mid-30s now? I mean,
I think Brock Nelson's going to have a new career high next year. Kyle Palmieri, he's going to be playing the best hockey we've ever seen next year. Same thing with Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Things are only up from here for him. It's just like you start looking at the guy, Anders Lee, he's only scratching the surface of his play. Right? You look at all the guys, you're like, yeah, no, I see probably with more likely than not a high likelihood that players take steps back the older they get.
Do you know
some players age like wine, but most don't?
Yeah, they age like vinegar. The longer it goes, the worse they smell, and that's the way it is. Do you expect Simon Holmstrom to make some sensational leap in talent next year?
Yes, I do expect him to make a huge leap in skill. Like let me ask you this, Grumpy. It's funny. I start to see more and more posts online. I asked the head Lamanite. I said, where have the Lamanite support been for Simon Holmstrom as of recent? I have not been seeing as many pro Simon Holmstrom. He's so great as supporting posts recently. I'm like, where have those gone?
He scored 5 goals, 5 shorthanded goals in a month way back when. And guess what? Then teams figured out, like, okay, we got to pay attention to this goal hanging hillbilly from Deliverance. So we really got to pay attention to that. And then guess what? Everything's dried up for him. You're the worst penalty kill in the league. Do you want guys goal hanging? I don't think so. I think your number one goal should be to make sure the other team doesn't score with the man advantage.
That would be the objective, I feel like, but maybe it's not. Maybe that's why our penalty kill unit is just so great, Grumpy. Let me ask you this: out of our last 28 games, you'd say 28 games is a pretty nice sample size, wouldn't you?
That's
28 games is about a third of the season, a little more than a third of the season.
More than a third, yeah.
How many points do you think Simon Holmstrom's had in his last 28 games?
5.
6 points.
6 points. Yeah, like I said, he is what he is. He's a jag.
He's just a bottom 6 guy.
He's fine. He's fine. He's cheap. He's a bottom 6 guy. That's what he is.
Yep.
Everything
Don't expect anything else from him, though.
That's right. That's right. Just there's nothing special about Simon Holmstrom. Where did I tell you Pierre Engvall was going to wind up on this team? Where did I tell you?
Bottom 6.
Bottom 6, because that's what he is. I have no problem with him playing on the bottom 6. I don't like the two of them on the same line, to be honest with you, because no one goes into the corners. No one. Don't do it. Ottawa made a real mistake today when they were on when the Islanders were on the power play. Those two guys were in the corners and they didn't go get him. If you go at him, they will turn the puck over. Absolutely, they'll turn the puck over. They're just not good guys along the boards.
And I don't remember how long it's been, but I'm thinking, because I was looking at the numbers too. I don't think Holmstrom's playing as many shorthanded shifts as of recent. I don't think he's playing on the penalty kill. And here's the thing: it's because we were so atrocious on the penalty kill. You start trying to go ahead and say, okay, let's try to identify the problem. He absolutely was goal hanging. It's clear as day, and I guess Wallace saw that too, and he's like, we can't have that on the PK. Simple as that. But
Patrick Watt, he sat a number of shifts against Buffalo. He just didn't like what he saw from him. They talked about it on the Buffalo telecast that Patrick Watt was not happy with his effort. I thought he showed a little bit of effort today. There's nothing special about Simon Holmstrom. If you remember when Andy Frantz was on the show, I just said, dude, he's a jag. Well, you can't admit when you're wrong. Oh, well, you know what? I have to be wrong to admit that I'm wrong. Why would I change my take when I'm right all the time? Yeah. He is what he is.
Yeah.
Grumpy, I have a question for you. Are you ever wrong?
I've been wrong a couple of times. Zach Parise, absolutely wrong about him. I thought there was no reason for him to play. But here's the thing. He was a bottom 6 guy. Who cares if you're a guy on the 3rd and 4th line? They're not difference makers.
I was subjected to this, or I had the same exact issue. I used to love the fact that, our best 3rd line in hockey. I love it. But I'm like, over time, and I'm like, why the fuck are we celebrating bottom 6 players all the time? Shouldn't we want to be celebrating our top line? Now, I will say, we finally have a top line, right? I think that Bo Horvat's meshed extremely well, much to my skepticism earlier this year. Bo Horvat's matched extremely well with Matt Barzal. He absolutely has. Now, that being said, right, I still don't think the contract is a good contract. We're going to be paying for that on the tail end. We absolutely are. And that's what happens anytime somebody gets close to free agency, or Lou Lamoriello gives an extension to him. Most times we're paying for it. But they've played extremely well. We have a top line. We should be celebrating the best players on our team. That's what I want to hear us celebrating, not the bottom 6 guys all the time. I want to hear us talking about how much we love Matt Barzal, right? Bo Horvat gets a lot of, Bo's so great. Bo's for this. I'm like,
he's really good.
Matty B should be, right? Like, I'm just talking about for the amount of love, right? Matty B should be getting more love than any other forward on this team. He's the best forward. He's the best guy who skates up his lace or laces up his skates for the forward group. And Noah Dobson is the best defenseman on the team. Sorokin's the best goal. Those are the guys who should be getting the top amount of praise. And Matt Barzal, like, oh, man, he's looked invisible lately. I haven't seen much effort from Matty B. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's the best forward on this team. It's not even close to attention.
Anyone who says that just not paying attention. Just not. And here's the thing. Brock Nelson, he's just been okay. He's not really a fit for that line either. Yeah, he's got some points, but he's not a fit for that line either. They need a top line left wing. They still need it. They don't grow on trees. And when you don't have any draft picks, you can't pick any. You have nobody in the minors. What can you do? I don't really talk about any off-season stuff. I'm just like, these next 2 weeks are going to determine if we make playoffs or not. These next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're going to find out. If we can gain ground and get in a playoff spot in these next 2 weeks, I think we make it.
Yeah,
if we don't, we don't. We cannot go 1-7 over these, or 1-5-2 over these next 2 weeks and expect to make the playoffs. Every team we're playing is playing for something. That's problematic, with the exception of I don't know which one shitty team that's in that mix. Everybody else is playing for either playoff spot or seeding. Every other team.
The Flyers have proceeded to shit down their leg and give up 3 goals in the third period. They are down 5-2 to the Boston Bruins. That is good news for us. They've absolutely collapsed.
They're not good.
No.
I mean, does it matter if the Flyers make the playoffs? They were sellers at the deadline. Guess what? They're in a playoff spot, number 3 in division, and they were sellers at the deadline. You want to know why? They knew they weren't good enough to win a Stanley Cup. They know it. The only one who doesn't realize it in the whole league is Lou Lamoriello. Everyone else realizes the Islanders are not threats in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Washington Capitals, again, I'll bring them up again. Grumpy doesn't like me using them, doesn't think they have a chance. They sold at the deadline too. A game in hand over us, 2 points behind us. They win their game tonight, even if it's in overtime. They're still ahead of us in the standings. And like, they sold at the deadline. The Flyers sold at the deadline. The Penguins sold at the deadline. The Devils sold at the deadline. All the teams who have no chance, and I mean no chance of making any sort of noise in the postseason, for the most part, sellers at the deadline. You know, if they're a young team, right, and they're trying to gain some experience and they need to make the postseason, or that would offer their team some important experience, they didn't sell. But like, a lot of these teams are like, hey, we're not going to, even if we squeak into the postseason, we don't have a chance to make any sort of impact to make a cup run. We need to sell. Our team is the only one that said, let's stay in pat. Let's give these guys another chance. We owe it to the guys to give them another. We've heard this out on the show from guests. We owe it to the guys to give them at least one more shot, to give them another chance.
No. I've watched. How many years do you have to watch a team fail before you realize it's just not good enough? The fact is, a lot of the Islander fan base, particularly the younger people, all they've known is losing. So this is great. Wow, we're contending for a playoff spot. This is the best thing ever, because all they've seen is the team has been out of the running in the top 5 of drafts every year. Now we don't even get that, because we keep on trading away first-round draft picks. No bother. Don't even watch Thursday night of the NHL, Friday night, whichever one. Don't even watch Friday night of the NHL draft. It doesn't matter. We're never there.
Oh man. I thought I should mention this. We are doing a fantasy baseball draft tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be through ESPN. I'm going to make sure I post something right here at the bottom of this, right at the bottom of the YouTube, so you're able to see it. We're going to, if you're interested in joining, there's 3 spots available. And you need to email me at tjandgrumpy@gmail.com. And I'll be sending you an email shortly after the show to accept the link and accept the invitation. But I will be putting that up in the banner below, so you're able to see it if you're interested in playing fantasy baseball. We are going to be doing another one of these, the Islanders Fantasy Baseball League. So if you're interested, and you're interested in doing something during the summer months, keeping up with baseball, watching the Yankees or the Mets, and you want to get some fantasy sports involved, make sure to check that out here.
Otherwise, we'll have to have Son X be part of the league.
That's right. Then all you will lose. So
Son X won the family league last year. He did. He was the champion. Beat me in the championship round.
That's right. As I said, everybody's fighting for second.
Everyone's fighting for second.
Okay, gotcha.
On that Larry Bird grind.
There you go. X.
Okay, X. Sure you are, buddy. Okay. I'll put this up here.
Now, I have a question real quick. This is about hockey, but it's a little bit off topic from the Islanders. Why were the Toronto Maple Leafs the only team to wear St. Patrick's Day uniforms this year?
Because they're drunk.
Well, I'm just wondering why they selected Toronto as the team to do that.
I don't know. Maybe it's a big holiday up in Canada. I don't know.
Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our ad read and then start looking at some of these comments here, because I wanna hear what the thoughts of the people and what the thoughts of the listeners are at this time period.
The thoughts are you suck, TJ.
Oh, wow.
Today's podcast is brought to you by, you guessed it, DraftKings. We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. You've heard us talk about things like the same game parlays that they have. You know, if you said, hey, I think Matty B is going to get a point. I think Noah Dobson is going to register at least an assist. I think Sorokin's going to have a shutout. You can add a whole bunch of these same game wagers and same game bets to increase and make it an even larger payout there with DraftKings. It's a lot of fun if you like sports gambling. But download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code THPN. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.100gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available if you have a gambling problem. If you call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort. You must be 21 years or older, but age varies by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility, deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources.
Wow, TJ, you're reading that faster and faster all the time.
It's the same one we've been doing since like January. So I'm like, all right, they give us the same ad read. I say, well, it's easier and easier for me.
All right.
But yes, so I did put that up. If you're interested in joining the Fantasy Baseball League, we draft at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Make sure to go ahead and email me at tjandgrumpy@gmail.com.
TJ, do you remember who was the champion in last year's league?
No.
Me.
It was me. Thank you.
Me.
Me.
Fucking grump.
I didn't even participate, and I still won.
Well, let's do this. Let's start popping up some comments here for us.
Okay, no problem.
My little brownie says, Grump and TJ, hello from Paris, France.
Bonjour.
Oui, mademoiselle.
Oh, man.
Tony Cheese goes, LOL, so happy to have TJ back. We're happy to have TJ back.
What's up, Tony?
Yeah, it's fake. He's doing that to mock you, TJ. He's not really happy you're back.
That could be the case.
Rick Rock says, upset at the outcome today, but happy with Roz Presser. He's getting pissed off at this team's effort, as we all are. Proud to have him as a coach. He wants to win. They don't. End of story. You know what? Lane Lambert used to be like that too at the beginning, and Barry Trotz was like that. It's the guys in the room. You need to change the guys in the room.
It was funny. He was talking. I saw a few of the quotes, and it was like, hey, I'm just not happy with the effort level I saw out there. We need to see better from the guys out there. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, man, seen this song and dance before with the last coach. Now, there is something interesting. You had mentioned it earlier. You talked a little bit about, hey, like how many, third period leads we continue to blow. Now, I'll put this up here from Stefan X. If you can remove that comment, please. He said here, if my math is correct, the Islanders have blown now 21 third period leads this season after blowing a 2-1 third period.
Hit him with the applause, TJ. Yes, sir.
68 games into the regular season, and we have officially blown 21 third period leads. Well, I'll let you know something. That is almost about a third of the games we've played this year. We have blown a third period lead in. And Stefan also mentioned, I believe today was the fifth one under Patrick Waugh. Man, that dastardly dog, Lane Lambert, is still cursing his team from the grave, Islanders' grave. He still is forcing them to drop games in the third period and to blow leads. Lane Lambert's all at fault, guys. We need to fire Lane. He's the problem.
I don't think that you can disagree that they've played harder for the most part under Patrick Waugh.
It's a brand new coach. I'm expecting that.
I know.
But the same core issues are the same issues. Our penalty kill being the worst in the NHL. Have we seen that improve under Patrick Waugh? Nope.
Well,
Our
here's
third period blown leads. Have we seen that issue rectified under Patrick Waugh?
No.
Nope. It's the same shit. That's what
okay.
I'm
Here,
saying. It was never on the coach. It was always on the players. I don't
That's-
care, right, that we're putting more effort in now, but I'll let you get in a second here, X. I don't care that we're putting in more effort in now. This is like, as I mentioned always, you get a new coach, it's like a brand new boss. It's like you started a new job. If you start a new job, are you going to be slacking ass and not working hard? Or are you going to be doing everything the boss asked you to do when you get there? Of course, you're going to be on your best behavior when you get a brand new boss. So yeah, it's just like, but still the same issues are the same issues. But go ahead, X.
I was just saying. I mean, it's absolutely due on the players more so than the coach. I mean, they kind of set Wob to fail. I mean, they sent him out there with faulty equipment.
He was desperate for a job in the
Yeah.
NHL. He took the Islanders. He wants to be a general manager.
Yep.
He will be the general manager of this team, hopefully sooner rather than later. The fact is, the team isn't talented enough, because I think they do play hard, but you know what? They're just not good enough. They get exposed against good teams. They blow leads against everyone. But I don't think, the one thing, I still think they play hard for him. I don't know how much harder they can go, honestly.
Hard work can only get you so far, though.
Yes.
I hate to say it. It really can't.
The Flyers, they work hard, but they have no talent either. It doesn't matter if these teams make the playoffs. That's my problem. It doesn't matter if they make the playoffs. They're not good enough to go anywhere in the playoffs. That's why you're seeing Philadelphia sell at the deadline, Washington, Pittsburgh.
It's because all of these teams know, and Philly's a perfect example. Philly, if they like, did it help their team and their ability to make the postseason this year by selling guys like Scott Walker and selling players that were helping their team out?
Maybe.
No, that didn't help their postseason hopes for this season.
Right.
Oh, that was not good for them. So you know what they did though? They said, well, just because you make the postseason doesn't mean anything can happen. You have a legitimate shot to win the Stanley Cup. It's a possibility. It's not a probability. And those teams who do that say, we want to continue to stick and be a real Stanley Cup contender. How do you do that? You build through the draft. You continue to build amongst the young players in the core that you have. And ideally, right, if you have the right coach there and the right coach in line and everything is going correctly, you're hitting on your draft picks, your team gets better. And your team that then goes from a team that barely makes the playoffs to a team that says, hey, every year the expectation is we make the playoffs. And then, hey, we want to make some damage in the postseason. But yeah, the teams sell. We're the only team just sat still. But 5 losses and the third period blown under Patrick Waugh. How many games has he been our head coach for? Like 15?
I don't know how many. I wish I knew. I don't know. Maybe 18, 19.
He's been our head coach for 20 games.
So 1 out of 4. They blow.
So, hey, it's better, guys. It's better, right? We're blowing about 1 out of 3 currently for the season, and Patrick Waugh's only blowing 1 out of 4, so that's big improvement.
You have to change up the players. I mean, I can't even say it again. I mean, what I've been preaching for the last couple of years, got to change. Everyone's too comfortable here.
Yep.
Everyone's on no trade contracts, no move clauses. And guess what? They're just not good enough. Their players just aren't good enough. They don't deserve that. If you feel you have to give a Pierre Engvall and a Scott Mayfield 7-year deals, let them go. Let them walk. All you're doing, it means you have no financial flexibility going forward. That's all it means. You can do there's nothing the Islanders can do this offseason unless they move guys who are making money. Do you think the old man, if he's still in the position, is going to move guys? He won't. If Patrick was in charge, maybe, yeah. But if Lou Lamoriello is still in charge, he's not going to move anyone. You're going to have the same cast and crew come back this year. We might as well just run this particular podcast with a month to go in the season. We don't even have to show up. Just run the same thing, and it'll be exactly the same. We're going to be a team kicking and scuffling around for the last playoff spot in the league. Guess what? The Devils will be better next year. Lindy Ruff is gone. Travis Green will not be the head coach next year. They'll get somebody else. They will get a goaltender.
Maybe.
You're going to see teams like Buffalo improve.
Yeah.
I thought Buffalo had a legit shot to make the playoffs this year. They're hot down the stretch. They found their goalie. Pekka Luukkonen's a good goalie. They found their goalie. They didn't know if it was going to be Levi or him. I mean, they made a couple of moves to pick up some veterans at the deadline and the defensive zone. They're a young team on the come. Pittsburgh's done. Washington, done. Columbus, done. Flyers. Maybe the Flyers are done under Tortorella. I don't know. They don't have any talent either. They're another team with no talent. They're only there because of John Tortorella.
Now, Gungun did say here, there's nothing better to describe the Islanders' current doo-doo play besides this.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm at the point to when poor play and Islander struggles don't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me when we play good or when we play poorly. I am so checked out from the iteration of this team and the direction we're in. It doesn't matter. All of this is the ebbs and flows. I know the end result. It's always the same. And until I have something that would make me believe that the end result can be different under somebody new, it doesn't bother me or make me excited or upset when we struggle or when we play well. I'm a disenfranchised fan.
Well, that's not good if you're hosting a podcast. Can I just say that out loud?
No, I think other fans out there feel the same way. That's the reason I mention it. Grump, when we win games or when we lose games, does it make you go, oh man, I'm super excited. Oh man, I'm so pissed off. I said all season long, I expect us to be on a team that squeaks into the playoffs as an 8 seed and that gets knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, and a team that, is a slightly above average team. And that's exactly where we are. I just I don't know. It just seems destined to happen with the current team, the way it's constructed.
It doesn't bother me if they win or lose games, if I could see that the team's going in the right direction. Because like I said, here's the thing, I'm not a fan of Philadelphia. If I'm a Philadelphia fan, do I really?
Oh my! Speaking of Philadelphia, wow. Sorry, that was a crazy goal that was just scored.
Can you not stop X and just control yourself for a second? Go ahead, Grumpy. I'm sorry. Continue.
So if I saw a direction like Philadelphia, I don't think Philadelphia is very talented. That's all coach related, them playing as good as they're playing. It's just totally coach related. If I'm looking at a team like Buffalo, okay, we're not winning games. They need to make some moves, some veterans to get them over the hump, I feel.
Sure.
I feel better as a Buffalo fan because you see the direction. You see a direction for the team anyway. It's the young guys all getting better at the same time. You see the team getting better. Pittsburgh, okay, if I was a Pittsburgh fan, I'm like, you know what? We're tearing it down. Okay, there's a new direction. Washington, they're tearing it down. They're keeping some of the best, but they're tearing it down. There's a direction. The Islanders, there's no direction.
I was about to ask, what is the Islanders' direction, Grump?
Just
sucking.
Just roll it back. Every year, roll the same guys back that we signed to ridiculous long-term deals. We got a couple of players who are worth watching. The goaltender, number 8, number 13. And I'm going to throw Horvat in there too, 14. So we can throw those 3 guys in there. Everybody else on that team, I feel, is you can get rid of all of them. It makes no difference. There's 4 guys on the whole team worth watching. Those are the only 4 guys I'd even consider keeping. Everyone else can go. I just don't think we're good enough. And the fact that we have nothing in the minors. If we had a boatload of young prospects in the minors who were just, hey, we're close, we're itching to get in that lineup. We're close to breaking the lineup. Those are good problems to have. I'd feel great about this team. We don't have that. We have no one in the minors.
Well, the thing is, you'd have something to look forward to.
Right. Well, you see a direction. Yes. Where we're trading off the veterans, we're getting draft picks. Let's say we want to go out and get a big name. We can move a couple of prospects and a draft pick to get a big player to come in to expedite the process. We have none of that. We have no draft picks. We have no prospects.
And even if, right,
And we have an 82-year-old general manager.
and even if the prospects and the potential for the prospects is a facade, they don't pan out, at least you have hope and you have the thought that it could pan out, right? Like, oh, when people call us, oh, you just want us to suck again so you can hope for this and hope for that. Well, I know exactly what this is, right? The young prospects, they're unknown, right? So I won't know what those are, and I don't preemptively judge something I don't know. But it's like Matthew Maggio. 20. I love when people have been tagging me online. Ruslan Ishikov just made a good shootout goal. Well, guess what? These bozos at the Islanders Never Say Die podcast, they're saying we've got no prospects. Well, if you're highlighting 25-year-old Ruslan Ishikov as our top prospect, I'm going to let you know something. There's a reason why he's never played an NHL game at the age of 24, 25 years old. I'm not going to say he's going to have a huge impact in the NHL if he ever makes it here.
Why? The Islanders obviously don't think much of him because they keep on resigning guys like Pierre Engvall, a bottom six guy. Or you move Brock Nelson to the first line. So what do? You just move Casey Zizekas up. And John McClain's made the team. I like John McClain.
Yeah.
I've been on the record. I like John McClain. He's a bottom six guy, like John McClain. Ruslan Ishikov, where should he be? He should be in the top. He's a top six player. Does he have the wheels to be an NHL player? Is he a 4A player, as I like to call him?
George Pace says here, we're better off picking random drunk fans from the stands. Oh, no. But yeah, he's 23. I'm sorry, he's not 24, 25. He'll be 24 at the end of the season. But I mean, realistically, what do you expect from a guy like that who's been a career AHLer? I'm going to say if he ever makes the NHL, not much.
Okay, but did they ever? They've never given him a shot.
I understand.
I mean, why would when they had injury to their sons, why are they not giving him a shot? What is the organization?
They don't think, I was about to say, they don't think anything of him. When guys get hurt and he's not a guy that they could think about it. Last year, he had a great year too. Oh, William DeFore, you get the call up. William DeFore. Okay. Everybody gets the call up before them. So it's just, yeah. Anyway, Milo the Brownie Grumpy.
My comments from the call-in show stands. We'll make the playoffs from OT losses as long as the teams around us lose in regulation, and therein lies the rub. Other teams are winning.
Update here: the Flyers did come back to make it 5-4, but it's now 6-4 here. The Bruins are going to close them out with 2 minutes remaining.
It's 6-5 now.
6-5 now for the Flyers. Jesus.
Yep. The goalie for the Flyers let in probably one of the weakest goals I've ever seen in my life, which ended up making it 6-4. That's why I was reacting about the goal, because I was like, oh, we got a game here. They're only down by a point with 3 minutes left. But yeah, now they're only down by a point with about 2 minutes left.
Goal.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, goal.
Carolina was done by 2 with a minute 45 seconds ago. It is now tied going to overtime.
Wow.
Wow is right.
2 goals in the last minute and a half.
Wow.
Do you think the Islanders could do that, score goals like that when needed?
Well, we did score a goal at the closing seconds of today's game. And that's so it gave us a loser point. Always play for the loser point, right?
But
anyway.
All right, but we're rooting for Carolina to lose.
Yes.
And Carolina comes back in a game.
They were done and dusted, down by 2 goals with like 2 minutes left to go, and they find a way to get at least a loser point. Not good.
Drew L. What a loss today by the Islanders. It's now clear this team only tries when the country club is at stake. I don't have a problem with that as long as they miss the playoffs. Then ownership fires Lou. I mean, yeah, we've said this numerous times over the last number of years. We play well for a 2-week stretch before and immediately after the playoffs, and then we go back to being what we are.
Did find it interesting that a lot more people are starting to mention that, where it's like, oh yeah, we've only been talking about this for how long now? Glad that you're joining the party. Glad that you're joining the crew.
Hey, you just dropped the information early. That's all.
Always do. Yeah. Go ahead there.
Freedom Fund Adventure says, I'm stunned. Stunned. He must be really stunned because he typed in stunned twice. You have to be sufficiently stunned to type in stunned twice. If you say, I'm stunned. But you know what? It really takes extra effort to type it in twice, particularly when you're limited with how many letters or characters you have. I don't know if you are or not.
Yes.
I tell you, stunned, I tell you. Who could have seen that the Islanders would play best hockey just prior to the deadline and then completely give up after? There was no precedent for this in history. Yep. Well, I mean, we called them out on it for how many years? So obvious.
Yep. People are starting to notice. And
That's
we've
the
talked about this.
problem with the team. That's the problem with the organization. They're just comfortable. It's like a beer league team. Everybody lives in that's how I gave them the name the cul-de-sac crew. They all live together. They all hang out on the same street. Their kids all go to the same school. They look after, hey, something happens in the street. Everybody knows about it, where everyone's tight.
Yeah.
That's not the way you run an NHL team. It just isn't. And here's the thing. I'm not running them down as people any way, shape, or form. I want a winning hockey team. I don't give a shit if they want to hold hands offside the ice. I don't care. I just want you to win. I want you to be true Stanley Cup contenders. That's what I want. I want to win another Stanley Cup for the New York Islanders before I die. Right now, I don't even see it. I don't see it happening. I don't.
Grumpy, the longer that Lou's left in charge here, I'd say that your likelihood of seeing another cup is done. The last cup you'll see was the 80s. The first cup I may see might be my 60s, Grump. Who knows at this rate?
I'll be honest with you. Realistically,
you're never going to see another cup.
I will say I don't see us being contenders for a Stanley Cup for another 5 years.
It's more than that, man.
Well, here's the thing. If you draft correctly and don't re-sign everybody, you can make improvement.
You can.
We're 5 years away.
Let's say this offseason, you want to start playing the realistic doom and gloom of the scenario thing? Real quick. Let's say this offseason, you said, we're going to start to make a course, a redirection and start drafting. We're going to start aiming towards youth. Well, hell, 5 years from now, you still have Scott Mayfield. You still have Pierre Engvall. You still have Sorokin. He'll be in his mid-30s at that point. Matt Barzal will be in his mid-30s at that point. Bo Horvat will be like 34, 35 years old at that point. And you start looking at the roster and like the guys you're drafting, okay, they'll be 23, 22, 21 years old for years after. That's not a team that has any chance of really competing for a cup unless you hit, and I mean hit on everything, every single pick you get. So it's going to be more than 5 years. And that's assuming everything goes according to plan. Assuming there are no hiccups, there are no issue with player negotiations, you don't lose players that are important,
There's only 4 guys on the team worth keeping.
There's
only 4 guys on the team worth keeping.
In the future, ideally, right, if you're going to be a cup contender, you're going to have more than 4 guys that are important. So I don't know, Grump. I don't know if you'll ever see another cup. I don't know when he's going to officially say he's going to wave the right flag. Lou will never do it, but when will management or when will ownership do it?
Like I said, this team, it's going to be, and this is if everything goes right, 5 years before they could potentially be a cup contender. 5 years.
I'm saying
5 years.
7 to 10.
Nothing in the minors. Nothing in the minors.
7 to 10. Because here's the thing. What do you expect from Sorokin at the age of, let's say, 34, 35 years old? What are you expecting from Sorokin? He's a guy who, right? You want to start talking about the realism of the situation? He's not a tall goalie. He's a goalie that relies upon his athleticism to be spectacular. Your athleticism and your quickness is the first thing to go. Your size never goes. So goalies who are just bigger, they're going to be able to last longer. Athletic goalies, as they make these crazy acrobatic saves, well, the likelihood they pull groins or get injured in their mid-30s or late 30s absolutely increases compared to what they are now. I think you're looking at 7 to 10 years, and you're not going to win one with Sorokin either at this point. I just don't see it. So, I don't know. John Smith, Grumpy.
Death, taxes, the Islanders sucking, and TJ being late. Things you can count on.
That is true, John. That is true. Goon.
Can SunX help turn things around before it's run right into the ground?
X, are we running things into the ground, or can you turn them around for us for the Islanders?
It's like the Star Wars movie. Help me, Obi-Wan. You are my only hope. Help me, X. You are my only hope. I'm the only hope for the Islanders to become better.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
My first rule of management would be to get Grumpy and TJ in head office.
I'd say I decline. Grumpy could take that role all by himself.
No problem, Grumpy. It's all yours. No fight for the head position now. Gina just gave up and quit.
Drew says, "I just love when fans are like, it's the ice surface and the day games that are the reason the Islanders lost." I honestly can't believe anyone says that. It cracks me up a light. We're just not good enough. End of story. Here's the problem. Is the other team skating on some other type of ice surface? If anything, the shitty ice surface helps the less talented team. I would be
Everybody knows the number one excuse is it's always the refs. Come on now. It's rule number one. It's always the refs.
We see that. The fans say it's always the refs, too.
It's always the refs. Don't have to bring out the ice surface. It's the refs' fault. Come on.
We do see that, though, online about the bad ice service. I saw online, Grumpy. Oh, man, the Islanders just don't play well at matinee games. They don't play well in early games. Oh, this is probably going to be a loss.
Okay, well.
Think about that shit. Think about the mentality of the fan base where it's like, oh, man, it's an afternoon game. Well, we're probably going to lose this one.
But the whole thing is the shitty. It wouldn't shock me if they deliberately made the ice shitty because the other teams are more talented. So what do you want to do? How do you slow down a fast skating team that's really good at passing and talent? You mess up the ice on them. That's what you do. You make it nice and slow so that they can't do anything. You make it choppy. I mean, I'm not saying they do that, but there's no benefit to the teams who are more talented for a crappy ice surface. It fits what the Islanders do.
Well, only one team's playing on that ice surface, Grumpy. I do laugh at that because I'm like, everybody plays on the same ice surface. Anyway, next comment there, X.
Oh, sorry, I was starting small. Here we go.
How long before Freedom Fund Ventures? How long before TJ starts using baby lies as an excuse for his tardiness? That sweet, innocent little girl.
No, she'll never be the reason.
Tomorrow.
Nick D says Lou Lamoriello is the worst GM in history. I don't care if he won 3 cups. F. Lou and his son Fredo.
I will say this. He's definitely not the worst. I will disagree on this. He's definitely not the worst GM. Here's the thing. He's done some good for our team. He's also done a lot of bad.
Would you say the good outweighs the bad, or does the bad outweigh the good?
The longer he's here, the bad outweighs the good.
He served his purpose. He gave direction to this rudderless franchise.
Yep.
And he brought us respectability throughout the NHL. Absolutely did. That time is gone.
Him bringing in Sorokin, who's a franchise caliber goalie, the best goalie who's ever worn Islanders blue and orange, bringing Barry Trotz to be our head coach, and then bringing Sorokin over. Those are absolutely huge, monumental for our team and our future. Those are things that he did alone. Now, he's done also a lot of bad, and the bad continues to pile up, like trading away Devon Toews for 2 seconds, giving guys like Scott Mayfield, giving guys like Pierre Engvall, giving guys like 7-year contract extensions left and right. I mean, like that type of stuff is just it's going to sink the franchise.
Grumpy, do you think Sorokin is the best goalie to ever wear Islanders gear?
Yes, I think he's most talented.
Really?
Yes, most talented. Okay. Yes, absolutely.
Here's the thing. If you put any of the goalies now, the game is different. Any of the goalies now are substantially better than the goalies.
Yeah.
Prior.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see any shots going in really from the blue line where it's just like a slap shot on the ice, on the ice surface. It doesn't get any elevation.
The game is so different than
it
used
is.
To be, where it was the wooden sticks.
I know.
Curve.
They had that the curve that came in. Wow. In the 60s,
pancakes.
That came in like in the 60s or 50s. It came in the curve on the stick. But the whole thing is, all these little guys who were skating around like pirouetting. You didn't do that in the old days because guess what? You got hammered. You absolutely got hammered.
The one thing. Oh, good.
That's what wound up happening in the old days. I'm talking about even 30 years ago, 25 years ago. You got hammered. Little guys, if you were
Paul Correa skating across the middle of the ice. Well, if you don't have your head up, Scott Stevens is running you over with a freight train.
Eric Lindros knocked out.
Big guys too. Didn't matter.
Now,
small or big doesn't matter.
I mean, open ice hitting. Now it's a fight. Every time there's an open ice body check, there's a fight. That just used to be the way it was.
I'll say one thing, Grumpy, that I agree with X on now. Michael Jordan is nowhere near the player that LeBron James is.
Right.
That's all I'll say, and we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, tomorrow. I don't know, Grumpy. I've been doing.
And Shohei Ohtani's way better than Babe Ruth too.
That's all right. Flex crew, Grumpy.
These are the type of This is the type of idiocy I have to battle on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. Flex crew says, really looking forward to getting obliterated in the first round and trading our first round pick 2 months later.
That wouldn't be a shock there. I tell you. I mean, that would be the MO, right? We didn't trade away at the deadline. We'll trade away at the draft. My little brownie.
Yay, intro music. I'll give it 30 minutes so I can hear Grump say they're just not talented enough. It was more than 30 minutes. It absolutely.
I thought today was maybe like a 5 minutes until you said that. Okay.
I don't know when I said it. I think it was the comments during the comments.
Well, my little brownie was saying that she doesn't know if she's going to tune into the whole show because
she's in France. Yes, enjoy France.
It's 1:30 a.m. where she's at right now.
No, it's later than that. It's got to be like
now it is. Now it is, but when we started, it was 1:30 or when we were supposed to start.
Drew said, well, it's clear X did not plug in his Blue Yeti microphone. That's correct. He has not. And he's saying he's trying to blame anything but himself besides user error. And he refuses to dedicate some time to fix the problem.
There it is. And it's on. It's not working.
Why is it light red? It's not supposed to be red. What is
okay, please stop. Stop. Let's talk later. JP says, libations, temptations that stagger the mind of X.
There you go.
There it is. Pony Boy Curtis says, hey, boys, we are not the hottest team in the NHL anymore. Yes, last week was we're the hottest team in the NHL. Now this week is we lost 3 games in a row. We're playing uninspired hockey, getting shut out 2 of the last 3 games.
Next 8 games. Got to be in position you got to be within a point or 2 of making the playoffs after those 8 games. Have to be. Drew says, I wished I could find the clip where the Islanders fans, after the organ played, chanting, we suck. That's how I feel right now.
Suck, oh God. A Freedom Fund Adventure, Grumpy.
Sunex showed up to work drunk, and TJ showed up late. Yikes, the current state of the workforce in our country.
Yeah.
Frank Kaplan.
So much for the 6-game winning streak. Since the deadline is over, it's okay for certain players to disappear. No accountability. The Boy Scouts effect still alive and well.
Oh, man. Flex crew. Is this what you're laughing at earlier, Rex?
Yes.
One of them. TJ's hairline is a 3rd liner at best.
Probably a bottom. It's bottom. It's 4th line at this point. We're
3rd liner in the ECHL. Yeah.
No. Right now we're still in the NHL. We're going to be dropping down
in the ECHL, buddy.
Now ECHL means you got a grumpy hairline. That's like the grumpy. He's playing the
Grumpy's a 3rd liner in mites.
Okay. Freedom Fund Adventure, Grumpy.
TJ, I told you, contact Sweetwater Sound and they'll help guide you with equipment and getting everyone set up perfected. But I guess if you cannot order food from them, you have 0 interest.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Freedom Fund Adventure.
Oh, that was so good. I'm not even gonna let you talk. Let's just move on to the next one. That was so funny.
That's important. He doesn't want me to talk because it revolves him, or it's going to involve him getting some shade thrown his way.
Me getting shade. I'll cover their Captain Food.
X has all the equipment. The problem with X, though, is he won't take but 5 minutes to figure out why he can't connect his microphone. He's got the cord. He's got the microphone that plugs in.
I looked it up on YouTube. It didn't work. The YouTube thing did not work for me.
I did one YouTube search, and it didn't work, so I gave up. You
I did
sound like the
YouTube
Islanders.
searches.
X is more
Intensive research, 30 different searches.
X is more and more like the Islanders every day. Scott L says here, hey guys, bad loss today. Now we're out of a playoff spot. Absolutely there. Vinny L says here, this team is not a playoff contender, period. Yes. The head Lamanite still telling me this team is a true playoff contender. Still to this day. And I was just like, yikes.
Oh, I have a question. Did they tear down the Rocky statue?
No, they did?
I thought they did, didn't they?
I don't know. How are you trying to tie this in?
Jake
had the
winner in overtime.
Oh, fuck. I can't have both of you talking at the same time. What was that, X?
He had the picture of Rocky as his profile picture, so I was wondering if they tore down the statue or not.
They did.
Oh, okay.
They did.
Why'd they do that? Stupid.
They probably wanted to put up a picture of flowers or something shit like that. A statue of flowers or something.
Grumpy, though, but Carolina won in OT.
And shootout.
Shootout. Wow. Okay. Gotcha. Wow.
And that was it. They're killing off a Toronto penalty for the last 2 minutes.
Wow.
Native Survival says, you mean Village Idiot and the Grumpy Old Man featuring Favorite Son.
Favorite Son.
Wow.
I must be Favorite Son. And X must be the Village Idiot.
No, you're the Village Idiot.
Rogue Gamer said TJ should relinquish his channel to Grumpy and SpaceX.
SpaceX program. We be launching the moon. That's all I'm going to say.
Tommy B. Coach Tommy B.
Bappy knows how to get his comment read. Good evening to TJ and Grumpy Old Man and the heart of the show, Son X.
Oh, there it is. X, are you still starring comments? Are you doing what you're supposed to over there, X?
Sorry, I was living up the comments that I had already started. I'm sorry.
Rich C. Grumpy.
This team is a bunch of coach killers. Wish Anders Lee would show some emotion like Horvat does.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
He's been here forever. He's not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they don't
that's
care.
true. Yeah, bad news for Islander fans as well. Yep, Tampa beat the Panthers. Yeah, Tampa's going to make it in. We have no shot at catching Tampa. None at all. Robert Marshall says, bring up Ishikoff. Last season, he was 1-6 in shootouts.
We were 1-6 in shootouts. This year, 1-4 in shootouts. Let's leave our specialist in Bridgeport. Shake my freaking head. Here's the thing. The organization doesn't believe in him. That's what it is. The organization doesn't believe in him. Maybe he doesn't skate fast enough. Maybe he doesn't play enough defense. I don't know. Is that the problem with this team? The team's got a lot of problems, right? Let's be honest. We're not good enough.
We're too busy staying completely devoted to guys like, we can't afford to lose a guy like Pierre Engvall. We can't afford. There's a lot of players that we just can't afford to lose that are so integral in our team's success. Coach Tommy B said, this regression of Adam Pelech has been devastating to our defense.
Well, you want to know the good thing?
He's only on contract for another 5 or 6 years?
6 years.
That's the plus, right? He's only got another 6 years after this one.
Yeah.
Wow, isn't that great? Yeah, but he's really struggled. I love how people are like, it's all the injuries. The injuries have made him shell. He was struggling before the injuries. He's been struggling. His peak was, and the Islanders' peak was right at the first Eastern Conference Finals run. Yep. That's where it is.
That was it.
If you can't look at what's happened since then and what happened then and say, honestly, the peak of the Islanders was the first Eastern Conference Finals run, you're just lying to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, if we were going to go all in, it was after that first year against Tampa. I know we lost to them 4-2. We did nothing to improve the team. Nothing. Then we lose to them 4-3. What did we do? Nothing. At some point in time, you got to push all your chips in. Are you good enough? If you are, that's when you make big moves. And in the offseason, not the trade deadline. You always overpay at the deadline.
We brought in guys like Zdeno Chara, Grumpy. That was a big get. We brought in the superstar. Yeah, the superstar, Andy Green, the fantastic Zach Parise. All guys that were going to make a huge impact on our team.
Bottom 6 was the reason why we weren't winning those games. No, we couldn't score. It was our top 6.
Bottom 6 is important. That being said, bottom 6 is not our team's issue. Top 6 is our team's issue. That's why we're so adamant on, I don't care about the bottom 6. We have that covered. Yeah, anyway, Drew L. Grumpy.
Also, Buffalo found their goaltender was internally without Pekka Luukkonen. Now, I don't care about his first name. Now, since they have a goalie, watch out for Buffalo next season. They'll be good. Buffalo I don't think Buffalo's got the right coach. The soccer coach is not a good enough coach. This is not Ted Lasso. Okay, this is the real freaking world. So Ted Lasso needs to be bounced out of there. They need a real coach, and they need some veteran presence on that team. They need to go out and make a big move for a really good defenseman. I thought they should have made a move 2 years. They should have offered Lou Lamoriello or whatever to get Varlamov and Mayfield. Get those guys off our books. That's what Buffalo needed. Veteran leadership on the back end, and even another forward if you want to get a veteran. They have the young talent there. They have the raw ability there. They have the goaltender.
That's a team that could benefit from giving up a lot of potential young name prospects and guys who have a lot of potential for, it was like, wow, they gave up a lot for this one good player, but I can't believe they gave up all this potential because they have a whole bunch of players with potential. They need to start getting guys that could say, hey, these are the guys who are going to get consistent minutes. This guy we know is a sure thing. This is what helps the team. That's where they're at, and that's where they need to adjust.
Like Chicago did when they got Bufflin back in the day. Same thing. When your team is really loaded with young, talented players who are producing, that's when you push your chips in. Hey, what do we need to get over the hump? They needed the goaltender. They finally found him, right? They thought it was going to be Levi. It wound up being Pekka Luukkonen. So,
all right, State of Survival says here, I would be happier if we didn't make the playoffs. It would be nice to have a prospect to look forward to seeing. It would. We're going to be hearing next year about how Danny Nelson's the greatest thing ever. John Smith said the only thing to the Islanders' advantage is they call fewer penalties in the playoffs. That is true. Yep.
But guess what? They call fewer on the other team too, because that's one thing. The Islanders get a lot of – here's what the Islanders are really good at, right? When you're not talented, you know what you do, and you're a veteran team, you gild the lily a little bit. You hold people's sticks, and then you fall. Or you're always interfering, and they can't call everything, or they won't call everything, so they let everything go. But come playoff time, that shit evens out because the other teams can do it too. And then it's, how come the Islanders aren't? I don't even want to hear it from Islander fans. Why did we get that call? I don't care. The only reason the Islanders are even in this spot is because they know how to get the officials to call penalties.
Yep.
On the other teams.
We do not care.
Pellick had his worst game as an Islander today. Yeah, not good.
He's just, like I said, he needs Noah Dobson to bail him out most of the time.
Rogue Gamer says here the Islanders need to score. Yeah, that would help. Drew L said here the Islanders are better at killing fans' hopes and dreams than killing penalties.
Ooh,
yeah,
statement.
At this point, I would agree. Scott Levy says here Dobson is having a great year point wise. Will he get Norris Trophy consideration?
I think he'll be Final Four.
Yeah, I don't think he'll win.
No.
Yeah.
Well, consideration doesn't mean he has to win.
Consideration. Think about this though. A defenseman on this team with our style of play putting up the amount of points he does is truly special. Again, we said it before about Devon Toews before it happened to him. If Noah Dobson was on a team like Colorado, a team like Edmonton, a team that was a high-flying, heavy forecheck, high offensive pressure, Noah Dobson would be having a 100-point season after 100-point season. That's the type of defenseman he is an offensive defenseman. And he's not where he's a huge hindrance on the defensive side of the puck either for as much offense as he brings.
That's what I was going to add. If under Patrick Waugh, he plays in every single situation. You want to know why? He's the best defenseman on this team by a country mile. Not even any mile. Doesn't matter if it's a country mile, a city mile. Doesn't matter. It's a long way. He's by far the best defenseman on this team.
Frank, Frank says, I know we all like Dobson, but his defense in the last 3 weeks has been awful. His obsession with skating in front of his own net is troubling. He looks like Paul Coffey and Erik Karlsson on defense. I hope he's not just focusing on offense only because that's troublesome too. I'm not giving Dobson $10 million. No way. Well, here's the thing. You could not give him $10 million. Somebody else will offer him $10 million because simply the fact that he puts the puck and points on the board. That's what gets paid, and that was always the premise behind why I thought he was going to be a $10 million defenseman because he puts points up. Now, has he been playing great defensively? No. I think our entire team over the last week has been playing poorly.
He's stuck playing with Pellick now, who's an embarrassment defensively. There you go.
Exactly. Stuck with Romanoff, wandering Romanoff, and then stuck with Pellick, who's been hideous.
When he has to, the one mistake that Noah Dobson does, and I think every player does, when they have to cover for somebody else, they tend to do too much.
Yeah,
and it gets him in trouble. That happens with him. Absolutely. He'll get sucked out of position because he's trying to cover for the other guy, and it looks like it's his fault, but you know what? It's because he's trying to cover for the other defenseman.
Yep.
I've said that for how many years now? It's not him. It's who he's partnered with, and he tries to compensate for covering for that player. That's what gets Noah Dobson in trouble. It just is. By the way, he's still second on the team in plus-minus and plus 14. Romanoff has a higher plus-minus now. When he was playing with Dobson, that's when his plus-minus took off. Yeah. Michael Boucher says, good evening, gentlemen. This team is extremely disappointing. If Lou isn't gone this summer, well, we're doomed for at least the next 5 years. See, that's the way I feel too. I'm not saying we're winning a Stanley Cup in 5 years, but you could see the team rounding the bend. I think it's going to take 5 years to turn them around.
I think you're 7-10. This is a blow it up, nuke the entire situation.
You can turn a team around in 5 years as long as you don't double down on suck.
What do you think you're going to be seeing from a 34, 35-year-old Bo Horvat? What do you think we're going to be receiving from a 34, 35-year-old Ilya Sorokin?
It's not about them. It's about the guys that you bring into the organization after Lamoriello's gone, and you cull the roster of these older players. The thing is, you cannot continue to re-sign these guys who are in their 30s to long-term deals.
I agree.
That's why they're sunk. They
I
need
agree.
to start over. And it takes 5 years, starting with this year's draft. Guess what? We're not trading draft picks anymore. We're going to trade players for picks, and then those guys will be 22, 23 years old in 5 years, ready to take the next step. That's what I want to see.
The contract situation he's put us in has already mired our next 5 years. It's more like 7, but that's fine. We can agree to disagree. Milo Brownie said, time for some Where's Wally? Not in the lineup, not traded. What's next for him?
He'll get moved in the offseason. They've ruined him.
Yeah. And I think he'll probably never pan out to be probably an NHLer. If he does, maybe he'll just be a guy who kind of like works as a middle six. That's
Needs
the best case scenario.
Needs a change of scenery. He's a guy who needs change of scenery, period.
I agree. Yep. Post-deadline quit, says Matthew S. here. Anthony Rizzi says, Lou and management deserve this shit. I truly hope we don't get into the playoffs. Rogue Gamer says, having our goalies sneak into the playoffs is dangerous. Okay. Joseph C. Grumpy.
Tampa is getting hot at the right is getting hot right around playoff time, which is dangerous as well. They're kicking Flores last night. They're not good enough. They're not good enough. They know how to win. It's in their DNA. They're not good enough. Who would they play in the first round? I mean, if they had to play Florida, they ain't beating Florida. I don't care. I just don't see them beating Florida. Who else would they play?
Yeah, it's going to be Florida or the Rangers.
I can see
them beating the Rangers.
I see him beating the Rangers.
Is this just our anti-Rangers? Oh, I'm such a big Rangers fan. Uh-oh, guys. The gig is up. Uh-oh. I said that I could see the Rangers having a first-round exit. Oh, my secret Ranger fan. Oh, man. I accidentally let it slip. I'm not a secret Rangers fan. I'm sorry, guys.
He's the number one Ranger fan.
I get accused of that all the time on the show. Yeah, I'll be interested, though. I don't think that Tampa can catch Toronto.
Too many points behind. I don't know. Tampa's still, they'll have a good game. Then they'll have a game where they'll give up 7 goals. I just don't think they're consistent enough. They'll make playoffs.
Yeah.
And they deserve to. They've had a lot of injuries, too. A lot of injuries. John Smith says, starts with the GM. Nothing will change until he leaves. He's not interested in ever being a seller. He's never been a seller.
Yep.
He's a buyer. Drew says, I get that Lou is just flat out wrong about this team being a perennial Stanley Cup contender. I just think he says it because it's the path of least resistance. But the issue is the fans believe Lou. Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is look at the standings. Is this team a Stanley Cup contender? When was the last time we won an Eastern Conference championship? When was the last time we won a division title? I don't know. TJ, can you look that up? When was the last time we won an Eastern Conference title?
Well, like 1993, 1980s, maybe?
I don't know. If we can look it up, X, maybe you can look that up.
I'm looking it up.
And TJ, can you look at the last time we won an Eastern Conference title? Because I can tell you.
Finals?
Yes.
The last time we won an Eastern Conference Finals was when
hold on. 2023.
No, fuck, X. No, just stop.
Wait, that's the last time I made the playoffs. Whoops.
X, don't do anything. You're Mitchell in a whole operation. Mute yourself, because when you're banging on your keyboard all here, you go because your microphone runs through your computer.
Hold on, let me
If X could just look up the last time we won a division title, TJ, if you could look up the last time we won a conference title, and I will tell you the last time we won a Stanley Cup, that was in 1983. The last time.
Turn yourself on mute, fucking X. Mute X.
They want to hear it. They want to hear the typing.
That's why everyone knows he's working. The last time we won a conference title was 1984.
1984 was the last time we won a division title as well.
Which is 40 years ago.
Yep. 1984 was the last time we won a conference, a division, all that. So, yeah, been 40 years.
We haven't won a division title since 1984?
No.
Nope.
We didn't win a playoff series since fucking remember, we went through a time period. We had 27 years without winning a fucking playoff series.
So it's been 40 years since we won a division, a conference, or a Stanley Cup. It's 40 years.
And in the last 10 years, we've only made the playoffs 6 times, and we won 7 playoff series.
Yeah, that's not terrible. But
How many times have we beaten Carolina in the playoffs?
all
0.
right. All right.
Zero.
We got comments to get through, Grumpy. Stop with your pedantics.
Lou
Do you need me to type some more?
Lou
No.
Rivera says, I blame the front office because this didn't make the team, because they didn't make the team better. It's Lamarillo. They believe in that piece of shit. He's old, fucking washed up as a bastard.
Hey, watch your mouth, Grumpy.
Drew says, I bet that schedule looks really juicy for the anti-Lou agenda. I'm sure as hell salivating about it. You won't hear from them for a while. You won't hear from them.
Oh man, I can't wait till the anti-lane agenda. I'm just still blowing games in the third period.
Okay.
It's just
Did
hard.
Lane Lambert have to go? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
He was an answer. I thought maybe in the postseason or in the offseason it would have been to do that, but I was just like, huh. I was just shocked it was mid-season like that.
Okay. He had to go. No problem with him going. That would have bought Lou another year. He's had 3 coaches. The Islanders had 3 coaches in 3 years. 3 coaches in 3 years.
Yes.
Think about it. 3 coaches in 3 years. How does the GM still have a job? Eventually, you got to get that old piece of fucking shit out of the front office. Kick him to the damn curb. Tell him his heart medicine, his prune juice, that shit's all on the road. Get him out there. Change the damn locks by the time he crawls back to the door, and just say, the cops come to the door and says, hey, you don't belong here anymore, buddy. Get out. That's what they need. Robert Marshall says, the Property Brothers don't care about the team.
That's true. I don't think they do. Discussed that before.
Next comment, please, Mr. X.
Here you go. Drew.
Drew says, damn, TJ just called the Lamanites children. That's a quote for the ages.
They are. I've said this before, for the excitement of the team. If you've paid attention, if you are an avid watcher and supporter of the team, either you're just blindly optimistic, which is good, have optimism, right? If you're optimistic now that things are looking good, that we can right the ship, that we're still a real contender, you're either blindly optimistic or a child. I don't know if there's any two in between. Seriously. What sane person looks at it and says, oh yeah, the Islanders have blown 21 third period leads this year. They're still blowing leads under our new coach, and we have the worst penalty killing unit in the NHL. But that's a team that can win a Stanley Cup. Nobody.
When you look at all these, everyone, what are the Stanley Cup? Which teams can contend for Stanley Cup? You know what you never hear? The Islanders. You never hear their name in the conversation. Just don't. Eve L says, are the Islanders 0-50 in matinee games? Well, they got a couple more coming up. That's not good news. They got one tomorrow. Maybe 0-51. He says the NHL schedule is all messed up. Some of these Eastern Conference teams are playing every other day from now till the end of the season, where we've had a ton of days off earlier season. Well, that's the only reason we were able to get wins. We had a whole bunch of days off, and then we're playing teams playing 3 out of 4. So that's why we're able to beat them. If we have to play them on an equal footing, we don't win those games. We don't beat good teams unless they're like gassed.
Real quick, I'm going to remove this comment here. I do want to put this up here for you. I was wrong, I believe, about the last time we won a division. We were first out of 6 teams there in our division back in 1987-88. But we did lose in the NHL division semifinals. So, yes.
So, here's the thing. It's been a long freaking time.
About 40 years.
30, between 35, 36, 37 years. That's a long time ago.
Yep.
Long
time ago. Dominic Rinaldi.
Only enjoyment for this season would be Lee removed as captain. I don't know why he's still captain anyway.
Good question.
And I'm going to tell you what. As much as I like Bo Horvat, it should be Matt Barzal.
I agree.
Give an A to Horvat. I want Matt Barzal to know he's the leader of this team.
Yep.
I want that. And I want an A to Horvat. I don't know who else I'd give it to, honestly. I wouldn't give it to Dobson. I don't think.
Seems too soft-spoken and soft.
I don't like Bailey. Why the hell was Bailey an assistant captain? Talk about a failure as an organization. A softy, a freaking Mr. Carvel, softy out of the spigot, son of a bitch, is assistant fucking captain on the ice hockey team. You want to know why we didn't win anything for 37 years? Because of moves like that. If that guy's a leader on this team, the team's in trouble.
Todd Peterson, Grump.
I think pedigree will see Tampa Bay in. Champs don't go down easy, and Philadelphia deserves a spot. So Carolina are my dog right now. Dog right now.
There it is. Freedom Fun Adventure says X is correct. The Islanders are so weak, pathetic, and soft. No toughness. There's an arms race like world everyone but dummies with senile fools in charge are prepping for war. Row Gamer says here SpaceX and Grumpy should party and make fun of evil TJ Ranger guy.
Right.
That's true.
Let's make fun of him for being a loser.
Being a Ranger fan.
La loser.
He said Carolina will be up our ass the rest of the season. I don't expect them to let the foot off the gas. Yeah, okay. Just watching how Carolina came back today to beat Toronto in Toronto. If we play that, let's say we make the playoffs and we play Carolina first round. That's a sweep. That's a freaking sweep. With the
we make it a loser. We make it a gentleman's sweep.
With the way we play in the third period and on the penalty kill and Carolina being healthy this year, that's a sweep. Matter of fact, we might beat them best out of 7 in 3 games. That's how bad it's going to be.
TJ is Marsha. TJ is Marshawn's cousin. Oh, yes. I hated that much. TJ, why are you always busting X's balls?
He's very mean. Right. He's very mean to Son X, Mr.
He
X.
always is mean to me. He doesn't care.
Very mean. Very mean.
Because he loves to play on his videos. I just want to prioritize things eventually.
Here we go. State of Survival is predicting some contract extensions for the Islanders this year. Aho,
for those who are just listening on the audio, I'm gonna let you know something. These sound like very frugal moves that Lou may entertain.
By the way, this is another one that made me laugh reading it.
Aho, 7 years, $1.8 million. McLean, 7 years, $1.8 million. Riley, 7 years, $1.8 million. Martin, 8 years, $750K. Clutterbuck, 8 years, $950K. Nelson, 8 years, $4.25 million. Holmstrom, my God, 7 years, $2.5 million. Book it.
Book it, Dano.
I mean, you can't let the old man, you can't let him leave him in charge anymore. Just can't. Patty Watt takes over the GM, force these guys out. Todd Peterson says, sure was hoping for more out of Lee, like that power forward goal off the boards goal at Christmas. He still gets the gimmies at the net, but sure needs some more of that. Take the game into your own hands mentality. He's done. He's done. He's another guy. I don't want to see them have a ceremony for him when his career's over and put, Tonelli's name on the top and Lee's underneath for a number retirement. I don't want to see that shit. Just not good enough. Scott Levy says, I know Carolina got Kuznetsov and Gensel at the deadline, and they're a very good team, but I could see them going out in round 2 of the playoffs. Not in round 2, they won't. They might lose to Florida. That's a tough matchup. That's a tough matchup. Those two.
I don't know when they'll lose. Here's the thing. The team is a tough team. If I'm a Carolina fan, I'm like, we've done everything we can to make sure our team has the best players on the roster come for a playoff push. That's the truth of it. I don't feel like that's the case for our team, and I never have. So at least they have that feeling they can hang their hat on. Whether it results in a positive postseason run or doesn't, at least you got the right roster put together.
Is Kochekov the answering goal? I guess they think so. They must think so. I still think they need a top-notch goalie. I do. Freedom Front Bench says, if I were another NHL team, I would want to play the Islanders in the playoffs. There will be at least one game where the Islanders no-show, and then they are soft. You can push the Islanders, and they will fold and submit. Ooh.
Rick Roma says, the Devils had the same 2 goalies last year and were 11th in goals against. Did they have the same 2 goalies last year? Schmid and whoever the hell is Nico Dawes?
No.
They didn't have Nico Dawes last
They
year.
had Vanacek and
Vitek Vanacek, yes, and I'll pull it up. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
It's not the go. Okay, the coach had to go. That was the issue with the Devils. Lindsay, and they held on to him too long. Travis Green is not the answer as a coach. They need some things to change in that locker room. Doug Hamilton needs to play. When was the last time he played, right?
Doug Hamilton. He's been out all year with that torn pec.
Yeah. They aren't as fast this year, and the teams figured out how to slow them down. I think it was a coach. It's a coaching. And they had a bunch of injuries. Jack Hughes was out for a long term. Hamilton, you can't have a whole bunch of your top players out all year and have coaching issues and expect to be better. Just can't.
They have Vitek Vanacek, who's no longer with the team. Is he no longer with the team? Or is he hurt?
Yeah, they traded him. I think they traded him.
Okay. They had Schmid. Is he hurt? He's not dressing. That's the reason I'm asking. He hasn't played. Okay, Vitek Vanacek hasn't played since the 5th of March. They've got Jake Allen. I believe they traded for him.
He's not the answer.
No, he's not. 33-year-old Jake Allen, absolutely not. Nico Dawes and Capo Kakanen. I have no idea.
He's a new guy. That's who they traded Vanacek for.
Okay.
With San Jose, Kakanen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They don't have the answer in that. Simple.
Yeah. Plus the Devils quit.
Yes.
Islanders can't lose those games. Agree.
Chicago is not an automatic win. We almost lost them the last time we played them. Yes, that's true. I forgot about that.
If we can't beat Chicago, we ain't making playoffs.
Oh, nice comment here, Grump.
Stage Survival says, looks like we're going to get 2 to 3 new teams in the next 5 years. Maybe we get lucky. We don't have much to protect. But there's only 4 guys I protect. Everybody else available. Everybody else.
Kev Rock.
I'd understand this discussion more if Ilya was in the form where he could steal a series, but he's not. We're talking about battling for the right to a first-round exit.
Yes. True. Exactly what we're talking about. Yep. Scott
Levy says, if they crap the bed for the rest of the season and miss the playoffs, does ownership finally see the light and get rid of Lou? I hope so. I don't know. I would just look. Hey, Lou, can you bring in your birth certificate? It's probably going to be some old yellowed up, just on some type of parchment paper written with a quill pen.
It's going to have 1 written on there.
Year 1. He's
1. First person born.
Even better. Older than dirt. You look at, he's 81 years old, 82 years old. And here's the thing. For a guy that age, he's lucid. Absolutely is.
Yeah.
I've seen people in positions of power ain't that lucid. I'm just saying. But that doesn't mean he should be running a hockey team. Just be happy. Go home. Have fun. I don't know if Fredo's had any kids or if Lou has any more children. I don't know. Probably not. Probably stopped at Fredo. Otherwise, they'd be employed in the NHL with the Islanders too. So I don't know what the issue is. But if he has any grandchildren, hey, dude, just enjoy your time. Retire. It'd make everybody be better off.
Nice comment there.
Robert Marshall says, Clutter and Martin are gone, replaced by Gauthier and Fasching. And we have $5 million worth of cap space next year. $5 million. That's it. $5 million going into next season. $5 million. Who are you getting for $5 million? Unless you move somebody who makes money. Oh, but anybody who makes money has got no trade clause. Can't move any of them. Going to buy guys out. Should have traded guys. Eat the money. Start the rebuild. Just start it. Next, please.
You didn't read this one.
TJ, if they don't make the playoffs, Lou is fired. Lee is bought out. Nelson, Palmieri, Pellick at least get traded. I think he's 100% wrong.
I think that I'm trying to look up. I'm sorry. I'm reading right now. It's funny. I'm going back and reading articles even from earlier on this year. Stan Fischler, why all the pundits who are doubting the Islanders and Lou Lamoriello are flat out wrong, and reading shit like that.
Here's another guy. How old is fucking Stan Fischler? Look that up. Alexa, how old is Stan Fischler?
Stanley Fischer was born in 1943.
91! He's not. Hold on. Stan Fisher's 91 years old. He was born in 1932.
He's old as I mean, think about that. Okay, so now now we're going to take Islanders being not doubting Lou. Lou Lamoriello's a youngster to him.
Don Cherry's 90?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wow. I didn't know Don Cherry was 90. Fischler was 91. I knew he was old, but not 91 years old.
And to him, Lou
He's got one
Lamoriello
foot in
looks
the
like
box, baby.
No, X, don't say that.
Lou Lamoriello looks like a young whippersnapper to Fischler.
I didn't know he was 91 years old.
Why are we employing anyone who's past? He has to take mandatory Social Security.
He's been doing that for a
Doesn't it-
long time. Anyway,
Okay,
let's
yeah. I
continue.
mean,
Let's
he has to
continue.
be earning. I mean, come on.
Let's continue.
Drew goes.
We don't wanna go.
Simon Holstrom, the goal hanging pepperoni pizza faced hillbilly. Bada bang 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 bang. Bada bang bang bang.
Oh no.
Drew says, our top line is mediocre, even with bringing up Brock Nelson to play on it. Yeah, you know what? They scored a shitload of points against San Jose and Anaheim.
Stan Fischler. This is written in November this year. Falling in round 1 last year versus the Hurricanes means an overhaul was needed. The truth, while the Islanders didn't win the Cup in 2023, they did perform admirably down the stretch, with key acquisitions helping out. More to the point, they made the playoffs after missing the postseason the previous spring. Additionally, the salary cap is a major factor, and like the Islanders, no NHL team truly has the space to bring in talent. That is until next year when the significant cap increase takes effect. Because of no cap, no NHL team will compete from the top to the bottom. The Stanley Cup winner earned the chalice of the unheralded goalie with an unheralded goalie. How crazy is it, by the way, that Aiden Hill is now one of the top tier goalies in the NHL? Goes from unheralded to top tier goalie.
Maybe he was good. Maybe he was good all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. Who not many have heard of as early as March the year prior. The Rangers looked fantastic last season and then fizzled. If moves are to be made by the Islanders, they need to be made smartly and at the appropriate time closer to the trade deadline when dollars against the cap are less of a factor. This season is a mess. Like, got a whole bunch of these where he's going through. He doesn't fucking answer any of the questions, but it's just like, okay, we don't make any moves. We didn't do a damn thing. Like, this year is an absolute disappointment across the board.
Okay. Fischler said the Rangers were really good last year, right?
And they fizzled out at the end. Yeah.
Who won the Metro Division last year? Was it the Rangers?
No.
No, it was Carolina. And they got beat by a Devils team that was younger and hungrier than them. That's how they got beat. And then they got swept out. Then the Devils got swept out by Carolina. I mean, Michael Boucher says, we got rid of Bailey and we get a piece of shit like Engvall. Yeah, what's the difference? They're all the same. Tommy Baffy said, Lou is working on lifetime contracts as we speak with Clutterbuck and Martin. Matthew S. says, our left wing 1 and 2 have been horrible for so long. Nelson is not a winger. He's a second line center. Kev Rock says, bottom 6 still matters, though. Avs getting DeHame and Trennan was huge for them. Okay. We're not saying that the bottom 6 are useless. But here's the thing. You can get bottom 6 players. They're a dime a dozen. It's just about getting the right fit. The toughest issue is getting the high skilled guys to play on your top 2 lines.
That's exactly right. I was about to say they have their top 6 solidified and their top tier players are solidified. They need help with the ancillary pieces is where they need help. So it's just teams have different needs. We don't have the top tier talent that other teams do. That's our problem. Todd Peterson.
Crazy season all around. Lots of talking points, and it's one for the ages. So I expect playoffs to be good. Hopefully epic. Postseason watch. Does Crosby retire? NHL expansion.
Wow. Could you imagine Crosby retiring?
He's not retiring.
I could imagine him asking for a trade.
I think he wants to play there.
Yeah.
If I'm the GM though, if I'm DeBoss, I say, Sid, we're doing a full blow up here. We want you to have a shot at a cup. Where do you want to go?
It's not going to happen here, though.
It's not going to happen here. By the time we're good again, you're going to be gone. We're approaching Letang, Malkin. Where do you guys want to go? We want to make it. We'll even take less in assets to get you to a spot.
To get you to the right spot.
Yeah.
Get you to the spot you're happy with.
Yes.
It's the least we can do for you.
And I think that that's fair because they've earned that. Okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And even, okay, you're not getting 2 first rounders and a second for Crosby.
3 Stanley Cups,
Hall
and
of
a
Fame.
complete Hall of Fame career where you've been loyal to the team. You know what? You've earned the right for me to take a little less on the business side to say thank you for what you've done for this organization. We want to make sure that you come back to alumni events and you're happy and you're an ambassador for our team and our franchise. That's what they deserve.
He was crushed when they got rid of Gensel.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because, him and Gensel are just so tight. He knows that they're throwing up the white flag.
And it's the realization that this team is done. I'll never compete for another Stanley Cup with this Penguins team. And maybe he was living in the thought process that he could, and that was done after Jake Gensel was moved.
And Dubas was the GM for this year. It was his first year there after being in Toronto. And he said, you know what? We'll roll the dice one more time with this group. And if it's not working come deadline, we're going to start selling off pieces. And I have no problem with that. If the old man had done that this offseason, and then he's trying, you know what? Time to move these pieces. We're not good enough. No problem. Like I said, we're just a year. We were 2 years behind Washington. Washington did it last year. Pittsburgh did it this year. We're the next team in the division that has to come to the realization, just not good enough. Time to move on. State of Survival says they will sell more jerseys if the Leafs wear them. It's a money decision. Yeah, they had a St. Pat's jersey. So, yeah, whatever. Good for them. They used to be, and JP says the Maple Leafs used to be the Toronto St. Pat's back 100 years ago. So that's why they did it. It was a home game for them the day before St. Patrick's Day. So there you go.
John Smith here, Grumpy.
3 coaches in 3 years of bitching about the effort of this team. Maybe the problem is the team, right? How long have I been saying that? Years.
We've been saying,
years. Everyone's telling me I'm wrong. Change your take, grumpy old man. You can admit when you're wrong. Well, I have to be wrong to admit it. Thanks. Drew says,
sorry, Drew. I remember when Lane was such a bad coach that Patrick Law would fix the issues. # fire Lane Lambert.
And what did we say here? We were adamant about it's not the coach.
It could get us a little bit of a bump. I would expect better results under a new coach. It's a different voice in the room. There's certain things maybe it can help with, but the biggest issue is the toxic core, which is the players on this team.
Do we have what Lambert's record was and Patty Waugh's record was?
Yeah. So Lane Lambert's record, I'll put it up here on the screen for us. They're kind of similar. Now, I will say this. I call loser time or overtime losses and shootout losses as losses. I know some people don't, but I like to. X, I guess, will be joining us back here in a second. But Lane Lambert's record was 19, 15, and 11. Patrick Waugh's record currently right now through the first 20 games is 10, 7, and 3.
So if you double it, 20, 14, and 6 would be – that's pretty much if you even
it's better. Out. It's better for Patrick Waugh than it is Lane Lambert, especially when you look at my metric, right? Losses are losses and wins are wins, right? We're teams, 500 club under Patrick Waugh and much less than that under Lane Lambert, in my opinion. 19 wins and 26 losses under Lane Lambert, and 10 wins, 10 losses under Patrick Waugh.
And Lane, when he was coaching, they were absolutely playing for ties, for loser points.
They're just giving up. The team had given up. I mean, it was obvious, yes, but the record is not drastically different in the first 20 games.
I just find it laughable. We're 21st in the team in the league in scoring and 20th in goals against. I mean, is that a playoff team? Is that a Stanley Cup?
Dead last and penalty kill.
Is that a contender?
No,
it's not.
It's not.
Sorry, it's not.
Only children and complete optimists believe that.
Yep.
Matthew
S says, yep. Coach was definitely the issue.
A whole bunch of dots. Coach Tommy B.
Mike Riley's dad sat in front of me today. Such a nice man. Was great chatting with him.
I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of those people are very nice. You tell them what.
I don't want to see that piece of shit getting a contract extension. I don't care how nice his dad is. He's a freaking walking waiver wire player. Frank K says a lot of people aren't renewing their season tickets. Well, that's the only way it changes. You have to hurt them in the pocketbook for ownership to say, this isn't working. That's money talks, right?
And Todd Peterson.
Todd P says, that's right, Grumpy. We need to plant the seeds for the future and tend to them or raid some gardens in the summer and fall.
We're like 10 years out, says George.
We're not 10 years out. If you change course, you're not 10 years out. You have to get things right, but it's not 10 years. It's absolutely not 10 years.
Best case scenario, it's 7.
Five.
You
Five.
lost. You're
If you
wrong.
do it right, it's 5.
You're wrong. That's all right.
Drew says, so this is where Grumpy said delusion lies. Grumpy, realistically, it took the Devils a decade to recover from the rut Lou left them in. Well, that's
Yes.
because they didn't do it right. They
Yes.
took them a while to get it right. If things go right, if things go right, 5 years.
Here's the thing. When you're a team that's rebuilding and you're in the shit heap, you're not going to have top tier general managers signing up saying, yes, let me take on this big expansive project that will take a decade or 5+ years to develop. You're not going to get the top tier guy. You're going to get, we're rolling the dice on Johnny A, who's a young up and comer that maybe works out as a GM. The likelihood that things go wrong is much higher as your team is hitting the absolute rock bottom. Ask teams like Ottawa. All teams that hit the bottom of the pit, unless they have a guy like Stevie Y who says, hey, I want to come here because I've had an impact for the Red Wings and I want to come back home, not likely, Grump.
How many years was it from Los Angeles because last year they were back last year and they were good a couple of years after they won the cup. I think the last time was 2014. Was that the last time they won the cup? But they were pretty good for a couple of years after that. How many years they went full on rebuild? They kept 4 or 5 guys. That's it. Everybody else they moved on.
So the Kings never really, I guess, bottomed out.
They moved everybody off that team. They drafted Quentin Byfield second
because they won the draft lottery, I believe, or maybe they didn't. I think they won the draft lottery. Grump. I'm looking here at their record. Right, they shouldn't have had the second overall pick. You look just year by year, their record wasn't that bad. So right, the postseason, lost in the first round, 2017-18. That was the last time before they made it again in 2021, 2022. Right, the 31. 42-9, 71 points. I wonder where that left them in the NHL for that year.
Okay, but look, it wasn't. How many years was it till they made the playoffs? It was 4 years? And they got rid of everybody. They were 8th out of 8th in their division, 7th out of 8th, 6th out of 8. They were bad freaking teams. After the 4 out of 8.
NHL 18-19, they finished 71 points. That was. Let's see how bad that is. Ottawa Senators finished below them. Okay, no, that was the year that they had probably drafted Quentin Byfield. So, yeah, here's the thing, though. I wonder for them, they were not consistently trading away first-round pick after first-round pick after.
No, they were not.
Pick. Well, that's the problem, right? Our situation is not comparable to those because when they started their rebuild, they didn't say, hey, we're starting from scratch and we have nobody in our prospect pool. We have 0 prospects and we've got to start over from brand new scratch. That is not going to be a Kings type rebuild. That is going to be a Devils / Red Wings / all of these other teams that have to be scorched earth. That's what the rebuild looks like.
But in 5 years, you could turn it around where, okay, we're a team that's on the come. I'm not saying contending for a cup, but a team that's on the come. 5 years.
You did say contending for a cup. You said cup contending for 5 years is what you said earlier. And that's just like, you're nuts.
Okay.
But like when I look back through it, right, in 2017, even though they made the postseason, they still look at this though. They did not trade away. Look, they still 2017. They didn't make the playoffs that year, right? Didn't trade away the 11th overall selection. Did in 2016. They did in 2015. Right, but they're hitting on guys like Charnak, right? In 2014, they're keeping guys. They're not trading away first-round pick after first-round pick year after year after year. It's almost like you're alternating.
Are you showing this or not?
Ah, gotcha. Thank you. It doesn't immediately pull up. Appreciate that. Okay. So, I mean, even you go back to, when is the last time they won a cup? Last time they won a cup was 2013-14.
Okay.
So, it would have been this 2014 draft. Think about it. They won a cup.
Kempy's a really good player, still with them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of draft picks there. Maybe that's when they started offloading guys.
Could have been, right? Maybe they still, think about it. They still are having draft picks. They still weren't saying, yeah, there's Hudson Fasching there, 4th round. But yeah, I mean, you look at it, you go here, okay, gotcha. Jarnak is a hit, right? Matt Roy. Who's Matt? Is it Matt Roy? The hell is that?
He plays for them right now. He's a defenseman for them right now.
Okay, bottom tier guy.
Chernak is with Tampa, of course.
Sure. Yep.
Then you're seeing they didn't have anything because they had been trading picks to win futures, right?
They were still. Yep. They were still. Yeah.
So they were kind of bottoming out, and then you see, okay, 2017 is when they said, okay, we're not doing this anymore.
Well, they made the playoffs in 2018, so that's just not the truth. So I'm like, that's 2017, 18, they made the postseason.
They had 2 years where they were trading futures for that last cup run, the last cup win.
They are different than us because when you date it back even before their cup and even after their cup, they still were not having. We've had 4 years without a first round selection. And just looking at the last time we didn't trade our first round pick away at the deadline, we traded at the draft. I could see our boy Lou Lamoriello doing that again, perhaps. Who knows?
Well, yeah, you can't. Again, you can't do that anymore. That's my point. It's like I said, it's 5 years from when somebody new comes in and changes direction. Right? Turcotte drafting 5th.
Yeah,
okay.
Turcotte hasn't really done much.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they had the 5th pick in the draft. They had 2 first rounders, 2 seconds. Byfield, 2nd overall in the draft. Brock Faber's a good player. They traded him to get the pissant Fiala with that team. They got Faber, and Faber's a good player.
Brandon Clark. So they didn't hit on a lot of the draft picks anyway. I mean, like now you're starting to get newer and newer, but like they were able to, they also didn't do too poorly in free agency also. So again, it's the Kings are not a scenario that I compare us to. We're very different from the Kings in that regard, in my opinion. Thomas Box says here, Grumpy Man, I respectfully disagree. He'll take the team a minimum of 5 years. That's true with a genius at GM.
That's with the true genius GM. Yeah, I think that's fine.
It's not going to happen. Coach Tommy B says here, well, get ready because Lou is running the show for the 2024-2025 season. Yep.
Well,
Malkin just cares about the silly shopping mall. Yep. And then once he develops that, he'll be looking to sell the remaining portion of his ownership in the team. That's what I would expect. They're property guys. They're property brothers. So how can we keep the team as profitable as possible as we're expanding here? And then let's sell off. And they're going to leave, the fans the unfortunate portion in the shit heap. John Smith said, if you're truly going to rebuild, yep, you trade Sorokin. He'll retire before you're ready to compete again. Yeah, here's the thing. If we're truly to rebuild, that means trading pretty much everything off of this roster that's nailed down.
There won't be anyone who's.
I like Noah Dobson. I like Noah Dobson, but guess what? Noah Dobson is going to get you two first, maybe 3 first plus. Tell me Noah Dobson wouldn't get you, and like I like Noah Dobson. I'm a big supporter of his. You've got to trade anything that's tradable, unfortunately, because we've continued to, we've robbed from Peter to pay Paul for so long. Eventually, we're going to have to go ahead and rebuild through the draft. Look at all the teams that win look at all these teams that win Stanley Cups in the last decade. Most of them have all been built through the draft.
Every team is built through the draft. Every team. Every single team that's good is built through the draft. Every single one. You can augment it. If you trade prospects to get somebody to come in, everything's through the draft. Everything comes in the draft.
And it's funny, right? Like I was interested in doing it. Phil likes to. Well, Vegas wasn't built through the draft.
They were.
They only had 5 guys. They only had 5 guys that were still from their team originally on the expansion draft. I said, okay, expansion teams excluded, right? Colorado when they won. Was Landeskog drafted by Colorado?
Yep.
Was McKinnon drafted by Colorado? Was Cale Makar drafted by Colorado?
Yep.
You start looking at them like, oh, gotcha. All the big top tier players on their team. Oh, gotcha. They were all drafted by Colorado. For the Lightning, was Hedman drafted by Colorado? Was Stamkos drafted by Colorado? How about Braden Point? Was he drafted by them? Was Kucherov drafted by Colorado? How about was Vasilevsky? Oh, wait a second. All of those guys were drafted by Colorado. And as you start going through the list, it's similar across the board. Like, okay, was Pietrangelo? Was he drafted by St. Louis? Yes, he was. Was Vladimir Tarasenko? Oh, yeah, he was also drafted by St. Louis. You start going down the list. It's like, oh, was Jaden Schwartz? Oh, yeah, he was drafted by them too. Okay, the Capitals. Oh, yeah, that's right. John Carlson was drafted by the Capitals. So was Alexander Ovechkin. So was so was TJ Oshie. So was Kuznetsov. So was Nicholas Backstrom.
Yeah.
And then, the Penguins, right? Oh, was Letang drafted by the Penguins? Oh yeah. How about Marc-Andre Fleury? Oh yeah, he was drafted by them too. Was Crosby? Was Malkin? The list goes on and on. The likelihood that you win without having a big chunk of top-tiered players drafted by your team to win a Stanley Cup is like 1 in a million. Doesn't happen. So
That's right. And here's the thing: Golden Knights don't matter. They've only been in existence for what, 5 years?
that's what I said. It's like they're the outlier. We're not a Golden Knights. We're not an expansion team. It's not applicable to our situation.
And they moved pieces to get other guys.
Yeah. Matthew C says, "We'll offer GM. I'd hope.
I hope
Be
so.
nice." Freedom Fund Adventure says here, the key to the turning point for the Islanders into winners is to trade away Nelson, Pelech, Pulak, Palmieri, etc. for max value. Could be picks, prospects, or players. Everything not vital goes, and cap is fixed. Lou can't do it. Yep.
Agreed. Yep.
I agree. Coach Tommy B says here, TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
How come Phil's fax list disappears on X when the Islanders are not winning? Because he's a freaking coward. He's a chicken.
He did tell us he was starting when the season was over. He flip-flopped. He said the season was over. I'm going on my Twitter hiatus. And it took him 4 days. The Islanders won 2 games in a row.
I tell him when he goes on his hiatus. Not him. I tell him when.
Oh, man. The loose screw, says George P.
Nuts and bolts. We got screwed.
Drew L. Grumpy.
Seems like the crew at UBS tried to slow down Tim Stutzla today. Their efforts have failed since he recorded 3 assists. Yeah, honestly, the Islanders get away with murder in the defensive zone. They're interfering and hooking, holding, everything. They do it all the time. They just don't get called for it.
Look at this. Freedom Fund Adventure.
Freedom Fund Adventure says, TJ, speaking of likelihood of Sorokin pulling a groin, have you ever pulled a groin other than Phil's? Ooh, that's a bold statement.
That's a very nice, X. Thank you for starring that one.
Anytime, my guy. I'm looking out for you.
Freedom Adventure adds, remember Josh Bailey talking about staying up all night playing cards with the boys? That explains why they bomb every matinee game.
God. Too busy playing cards and ping pong tournaments. Oh, God. Michael Boucher.
I think Maloney was the worst GM in the Islanders. Torrey left him with a great team, and he effed that up.
Robert Marshall.
He didn't bring Sorokin over. Ilya firing his pro KHL agent did the trick. Plus 2 teams going under in the KHL didn't hurt either.
I think he definitely brought him over. He purposefully signed or traded. He purposely brought in Varlamov to make that an easier transition, to have a Russian guy, Russian speaker in the goalie room that's going to be closely tied to him, who had the same exact agent that he brought on. I think there was a lot of maneuvering that Lou did that he deserves credit for on that. Joseph C said here, they moved the Rocky statue X to the front of the Philadelphia Spectrum.
Glad they didn't get rid of it.
Robert Marshall said, I disagree, Grumpy. Senile Lou and his beloved veterans are the problem.
I agree with that.
I think because you were making like a pro coach stance, and that was the hey. Anyway, Jake K says here, this season, like last season, is a roller coaster ride that I would like to get off of.
True.
Absolutely. Tampa is in line to play the Rangers. Yeah. Oof.
They could beat the Rangers.
Red Dummy says here, fire Lou, hire Grumpy.
I agree with that.
Coach
the Islanders won the Patrick Division in 1988 and lost to Lou's Devils in 6 games in round 1. Dennis Potvin's final season.
Dan L. He says here, and I believe it's been 2 or 3 times in the past 30 years that we've actually had home ice in a playoff, home ice advantage in a playoff series, which is absolutely unbelievable.
It's when you have ownership that doesn't care. Right? Think about it. Even before Wong, they certainly didn't care about the team.
Yep, and we mentioned this.
Wong, Charles Wong, you say a lot of things about him. Without him, the Islanders no longer on Long Island. They're somewhere else.
That's true. Dale S. Said we won the Patrick in '88. There, it's just been just a 36-year drought. Yes, thank you. There, I was like, let me look a little bit further, and I saw that. Tom says here, the owner coming out in a Post article last year saying, "In Lou we trust," shows exactly what's wrong with this franchise. Soon it will be Lou's son running the show.
He won't get the rope that the old man's got. That much I guarantee you.
If Chris Lamoriello usurps, if Fredo usurps their Lou and is the new general manager,
He
Jesus.
won't last a year. He won't last a year. The fans will be out there with pitchforks.
The fans are too complacent.
I disagree.
The fans are too complacent, bowed off of goodwill of the father. Okay, we'll see. Drew, think about how long it took for them to walk out on Wong and fire Snow. Snow must go. It took years. Drew L says, your podcast reminder, fire Lou Lamoriello immediately.
Yeah.
Dale S says here, Phils is saying that Pierre Engvall's top 6 with 21 points year to date. Yeah, it's just comical.
Yeah, just stop. I told him again. Phil, like I said, Phil's batting 1,000. He's wrong every freaking time.
God. Here you go. Drew L. Grumpy.
Everyone subscribe to the podcast. TJ is only 9 subs away from 1,000.
Subs.
Get it done. One thing, if we go to the playoffs, we will have those 9 subs. Owen Johnson says, hey, fellas, do you think we have a chance to beat the Rangers tomorrow? Nope.
Probably not. It's another afternoon game, so that's an automatic loss for the Islanders. Gallant to the Devils next season. You watch.
Okay. They won't win a Stanley Cup, but he can get you pretty far.
Maybe they need a transition coach.
He's a player coach for certain. Absolutely.
Where's Ledecky these days? He's goofy. He's doing meet and greets with the local fans.
Maybe he's going to the orthodontist.
TJ and Grump, split the difference and say 6 years. All right, I'll choose 7 years.
Whatever.
All right. Thumbs up, 5-star review.
All I have to say is it's going to be a while before the team is on the upswing. I just think that's fair to say. Quite a while. Could have started it right away, chose not to, so you're in this boat. So, okay.
Don Cherry's last head coach job was 1972.
1979.
1979, I'm sorry. And Drew S is here. I can't stand Butch using so-called when identifying the third and fourth line, as if it's an insult to be a third or fourth liner.
Yeah. I like the Tavares jersey on fire in that profile picture. I love it.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. NC State, Jesus, they won the ACC tournament. Oh, my God.
They Carolina. The NCAA championship. They were not going to make it.
That means Pittsburgh probably will not make the tournament.
Because it means somebody else who's more deserving doesn't make it.
He's going to get bounced.
They beat Duke, I think, on Friday night.
Yep. And Carolina. Holy cow.
Virginia, Duke, and Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, hey, good for them.
Nuts.
Hey, that's what Jim Valvano had to do back in 1983, and they wound up winning the whole thing.
Anyway, let's wrap this thing up, guys. Here, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you so much, Grumpy and SunX. What do you want to say before we wrap things up here today?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't.
From TJ, the grumpy old man.
From TJ, the grumpy old man, and SunX.
Oh my God!
I was going to comment. I saw the
early onset Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that's it.
Could be. X, what do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Love the interaction in the comments section as always, and we will see you guys next time.
Alrighty,
thanks. How come you don't do the X time sign, TJ? You too?
Because he doesn't get behind me. All he wants to do is bust my bag. That's it.
That's it. Bust the bag.
Alrighty, let's wrap things up here. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be live with you guys tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Oh, we still have X. You're going to join the league. We still have one spot available right now for the Fantasy Baseball League. One spot.
If you got to play 8, we'll play 8.
No, we're going to have 10. Stop. Anyway,
that means I have to be in the league.
You're going to be in the league, X. You've been called into duty.
Will that make 10? Will X make 10?
He'll make 9.
Well,
so we're going to have 10. We'll play 8. Yep, we're going to have 10. But yes, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll be with
Tyron has spoken, Grumpy.
We'll be with you guys tomorrow from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Fantasy Baseball Draft will be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Thanks so much, Grumpy and X.
My pleasure.